Cajun capital of the world.
I'm the average Lafayette, Louisiana kid.
See, I'm back on my...
Hey, fellas. Hey, Brand Review said, congratulations. Say what's up, y'all. Yeah!
People that have courage don't have no extra gene and no difference in you. The difference is, are you going to sit down when it's time to stand up?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in to another edition of Rage and Review. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Lots to go over. It's not like nothing's been happening over the past, I don't know, a few days. I got my stream playing on my, I don't know if y'all heard that. I had the stream. I'm trying to send the stream out to people and now it's echoing. We good now. But we had a lot going on these past few days. We got a lot to talk about on the national scene. Because I'm not going to lie, boys. I'm not thrilled about the bowl game. I'm excited our guys are going to bowl. The game itself, I'm not pumped. We'll talk about why in a little bit. I know some guys are pumped. I'm excited. Look, and that does not make me less of a fan because I'm not pumped about the matchup. But I'm not pumped about the matchup. We'll talk about all that in just a little bit before we get into all the nitty gritty, including the national stage. Josh, I feel like this is going to be a night that will live in infamy on Rage and Review. I cannot wait to hear your takes on these things. We'll get to it in a little bit. Right now, let's take our sponsors. We'd like to thank the following partners who make Rage and Review possible. Our title sponsor, the Best Stop Family Market, with locations in Katy and Baytown, Texas, Toledo Bend, Karen Crow, and of course the official location opened in 1986 in Scott. Visit the Best Stop and ask about the Rage and Review tailgate platters. Gulf Coast Bank, title sponsor of the Tailgate Show every Saturday, 3 hours before kickoff. Planet Radio 106.7, Lafayette Roofing, The Yard Goat, Yes Please Branding and Marketing, Old Time Grocery, Stride Safety Solutions, Eat Lafayette brought to you by Lafayette Travel, Rage and Hydration, and Dr. Brett Venable at Recovery Chiromed. And we'd also like to thank our Patreon sponsors listed here. For only $2 a month, you too could have early access to uncut interviews before they air here on our shows. You also get an exclusive Patreon icon next to your name on Cajun Threads, the official message form for Rage and Review. If you are interested in joining as a Patreon, visit us at patreon.com/Rage and Review. Thanks to all of our corporate and Patreon sponsors for making this show possible. Once again this week to the Best Stop Cajun Market. Of course, they also have a location in Broussard, which my family found recently. But I will give a special shout out to the location in Katy, Texas that got a nice, actually not one, a couple of platters together for our boy Reese Burns, who's out here in Houston along with me. I may or may not have hooked him up with a little bit of a connection for a nice job out here. And now my dude is making tons of buku money. And he's getting these nice platters, tailgate platters from the Best Stop in Katy and bringing them to those folks as well. So don't forget to give them a call for any of your Christmas needs, as the tailgate platter may or may not still be out there at certain locations, but you can certainly get a nice Christmas platter for your folks as well. All right, let's move on to what is going on in the football world. And I will start with the Sun Belt and then we'll kind of move up from there. But I do want to talk about James Madison making the playoff, boys. It is, and this is what kind of caused all of the commotion. So that's why I'm starting here first. But James Madison, deservedly so, won the conference decidedly. I mean, there was no question throughout the season that James Madison was in the driver's seat. Southern Miss, I guess we could talk about that in a little bit. I don't have it on the rundown, but we got to talk about that as well. But let's talk about JMU. They ran through the Sun Belt, ran through the championship game, and they followed the same rules that everybody in college football followed. And Duke won the ACC with like an 8-5 record, 9-5, I guess now. Tried to convince themselves somehow that they belonged in the playoff, but did not happen. So first, let's talk about how big that is for the conference. I get that Liberty made it in for Conference USA a couple years ago. It doesn't feel the same. Like, we all knew Liberty was a sham. We know that was just them playing an absolutely weak schedule. And you could say that the Sun Belt Conference is down this year, but week after week, it is a tough schedule to play in the Sun Belt, even when we have down years. They didn't win their one P5 game, but if you go back and watch it, they played them really tough and probably could have pulled it out, but things just didn't go their way. So I'll start with you, Josh. JMU making it to the playoff, that will eventually trickle down to us monetarily, but how huge is that for the Sun Belt Conference?
Well, I just want to clear up the fact that Liberty made a New Year's Six Bowl, not a CFP.
Sorry. Yes, I appreciate you clearing that up for me. That's
because
what I meant.
I'm never going to give Liberty more credit than they deserve, right? The fact that JMU made it, it was funny because when they came out with this new CFP playoff format, or structure, whatever you want to call it, we talked about the fact that there was a possibility that 2 G5s could get in, and every P5, P4, whatever, personality on media would say, yeah, there's a small chance, but of course it would never happen. It would never happen you get 2 G5s in a playoff. Well, in I guess a span of 3 or 4 years, you've gone from TCU playing for a national championship to now Tulane. Tulane won a Cotton Bowl a couple years ago. Not a playoff game, but still pretty damn close for what it could have been. And if it would have been a 12-team playoff, they would have been in then. And now you have 2 G5s in the actual 12-team playoff. JMU followed the rules. Tulane followed the rules. It's massive for the league financially, right? I think it was reported that each school will get $300,000 just for the berth. And if they win, if JMU finds a way to win, it'll be even more, it'll increase. But just the profile for the league. You got Keith Gill sitting up there, and I don't know where the hell he lives.
Doing nothing, by the way.
He's not doing anything for the league. So we like to go back and forth with JMU, and JMU has accomplished a ton in this league since they've been here for a few years, and they deserve credit for that. Are they pompous? Are they a delusional fan base? Absolutely. But they do have success in the league. Am I happy that they're going to carry the banner for the Sun Belt Conference? Sure, because they have a proven recipe for success and they have a resume. So if we're going to have a representative, JMU is about as good as you can get with their resources and their commitment to excellence. I applaud them for that. And I'm obviously they're a massive underdog, but Oregon hasn't exactly done a whole lot in the playoff. They haven't exactly done a whole lot outside of winning a couple of conference championships. Their playoff resume is pretty light.
Which, by the way, they reminded you of their conference championships.
Absolutely owned the Oregon fan base. That was that was one of the most fun things that happened this week. But going back to JMU, look, it's great to have the Sun Belt Conference included in all of this madness. It's great that we have a representative. I wish that we had some leadership, like actually doing something behind this, pushing the momentum forward, banging the drum for the Sun Belt Conference to be considered. It's not a fluke. We need a conference representative that's saying it's not a fluke. The Sun Belt Conference has done everything they were supposed to do to get involved in the conference, in the CFP, and there should be no qualms about that. This is how the rules were drawn up. This is what you guys wanted it to look like. We just so happened to accomplish it. You thought we couldn't, we did. And we should have conference representatives saying that. So shout out to JMU. I don't think they played the greatest championship game. I thought Troy was gritty, but it's clear that JMU was just the better team. Was it well played? Not really, but it was clear that JMU was the better team. I am going to be a huge Duke fan, JMU Dukes fan when they play. I would not probably tell many of those that aren't watching the show tonight because they have that reputation of being a little bit pompous, but just to be included in the conversation is a massive W for the league, for everybody included, for the coaches, for the players, for the amount of resources that we're going to reap from this birth, and I can't wait to see it. It adds to the drama, and you always want to be included when the conversation matters most.
I have more respect for a school like JMU, who is pompous for a reason. They can back it up. You got people at Louisiana Tech that are pompous because they have no reason to be pompous. If we're being honest with you, they've accomplished less than we have, right? So
sure, but I just want to remind everybody, the year that they made, I think they went 11-1 or something, and they could have been playing for a conference championship, but they were barred because the NCAA rules weren't allowed.
The rule. Yeah.
They were already talking about going to the ACC, and they were better than this conference. So I'm never going to forget that. And when we played them in basketball and they showed their ass against our team in the Cajun Dome and just whiny bitches, I'm never going to forget the whiny bitchness. Never. Am I happy that they're going to represent our league? Yes. Do I forget the past? Of course not. Of course not. And of course all the discourse that we've dealt with on the socials over the years. So again, great to be involved. I'm proud that JMU is in the Sun Belt, and I'm rooting for them like hell. But just always, you never forget where you come from.
I'll turn it over to you, KG, because I do want to ask you not only about JMU making the playoff and it being huge for the Sun Belt, but I want you to touch a little bit on what Josh said too about Keith Gill's representation, because he's been silent when the rest of the ESPN talking heads have conspired to shit on our conference and other conferences like ours. When we need somebody up front defending that should start with our commissioner. And it has been crickets. And that has been his MO. He doesn't say anything. He'll send a little press release when like the Tyree Skipper thing happened, which we'll talk about that later. I appreciate that. But where is he at the forefront of all this shit talking that is being conspired against your very livelihood and the people you represent? I want my commissioner like Mike Oresco. I don't care if he sounds like an asshole. He's defending our conference, and you're not getting that from your commissioner. He's not going on TV. He's not going on the radio. He occasionally sends a little press release when something happens. So I'm disappointed in the lack of leadership we have there. He can be working behind the scenes, but people like us need to hear him at the forefront of what's happening.
No, that's exactly the kind of guy he is, though. He's very hands-off. He's very behind the scenes. He's not the kind to get in front of a camera. We know that. You're exactly right in your assessment. He's the kind of guy that's going to send out a press release far faster than he will ever get on a camera. But my thing is, Nick, and y'all will all agree with this, if JMU, as soon as they got announced in the college football playoff, the first representative ever to come from the Sun Belt, as the commissioner, you should be in front of a camera celebrating and exposing the conference, and you need to be like you mentioned, defend the conference, because you got these talking heads like Paul Feinbaum and Danny Cannell, which I'm a Danny Cannell fan. I'm a Florida State fan, and I was very disappointed to hear Danny Cannell's takes on G5, G6 schools. Skip Bayless is another one, just hammering G6 schools like, these guys don't deserve to be in here. We're wasting 2 playoff spots. Well, guys, the CFP committee made these rules. And it's not our fault that the ACC shit the bed this year. They were never accounting for the ACC to be this bad, ever. And guess what? Because of that, Tulane was an automatic lock, and JMU, they get that 5th bid because they were better than Duke. And, they were, 11-1? Duke was 7-5? That's a stark difference. There's no arguing that. But, guys, I want to back up one more thing. Do y'all realize y'all were talking about Sun Belt exposure earlier, okay? JMU getting into the college football playoff, that is Sun Belt exposure. The last major championship in the NCAA was college baseball. Who was in that? Coastal Carolina. Sun Belt
but they don't want us there either. We need to make that clear.
But I'm letting y'all know, even though we're a G5, G6 school, I like calling it G6. Josh still calls it the old G5. the last two major championships had Sun Belt representatives, and I'll take you one even before that. I know that Louisiana wasn't in it, but Texas Tech was. And if you watched any of
that was our damn team.
But if you watch any of the series, the announcers glazed over the entire team. Transfer from Louisiana, Raging Cajun transfer. Like, if I had $1 for every time I heard Louisiana or Raging Cajun transfer or Jerry Glasgow talking about Lafayette and where he came from, I would have had $500. I could have bought a plane ticket to OKC and watched him play in that game. So the Sun Belt was in a way represented there too. So I'm just getting that to circle the wagon. Keith Gill, if he was a commissioner like any of us on this pod who like to talk, and, I would have been the first one on a camera hooping and hollering, giving JMU their props, because Josh, you said it best. It doesn't matter who from the Sun Belt is representing the Sun Belt. Being that you're the first to do it is just, that's great in its own regard. Whether it's Louisiana Tech in the future, Louisiana Tech, USM, JM, it doesn't matter. Any of us could have done it. To say you're the first one is really cool. Because what's the alternative? We all sit at home and maybe go to the Citrus Bowl or the I don't know, whatever bowl, Outback Bowl. It doesn't matter. To say you're going to the CFP is a big deal. You get that revenue. That's the biggest deal. Like you mentioned, we might get $300,000 from that. That's a big drop in the bucket for us. We're going to put that to good use. But no, bottom line, I'll be a JMU Dukes fan for sure. Tip the cap to those guys. And before I go and you pass the baton, great hire of Billy Napier. I feel like he is a strong candidate. It was I have no qualms about it. I think it's a glove in hand fit. I think Billy is well versed in the East Coast. JMU has the financials to support him as a coach. We know that he's going to surround himself with a very good coaching staff like he did here at UL. And if he could take what he did here at UL and multiply it, because we know JMU has a way better budget than we do, the sky's the limit for Billy. And we got some work to do here in the West.
Lane, are you going to be cheering for Billy Napier out at JMU?
Yes and no. I mean, when we play him, obviously, no. I hope we beat him every time. But I feel like Cole said, he's a good fit for JMU. I mean, their athletic budget is double ours almost, it feels like. He'll have no issues with getting players that he needs and wants up in Harrisonburg.
So, Josh, I'll turn it back to you about Billy. You and I have kind of the same view on it. Although I'm happy for Billy that he found a place. I'm glad it's not Tulane. I mean, Tulane got Will Hall. Tulane got Will Hall. That is a familiar situation. I'll just keep it at that. But he found a place at JMU. Rather he be there recruiting than at Tulane. And I know some of the concerns you had is Billy's going to run this freaking the East, and we won't win a damn championship for the next foreseeable future because, one, we have to get to the championship game. That's a whole nother story. But if we do, Billy's going to run the East. Your thoughts about them hiring Billy? I think it's a great hire, obviously, and I think we're in trouble when it comes to competing for a championship going forward.
So I saw some of their fans say they kind of deviated from bringing up, accomplished D2 or FCS coaches, and they've had a lot of success with that model. Billy Napier was built for that type of program. He's going to make $1 million. I saw the terms and everything, and that's fine. And he's going to have some incentives, and that's fine as well. Billy is the son of a high school coach. He cut his teeth in high school. He's at heart, I believe that Billy wants to teach the game, and he wants to be involved in real football. And y'all can say that the SEC plays the best football and all this stuff. They may, but their star players show up to practice in Escalades and Lamborghinis. That's not real football. I'm sorry. That's professional football.
But Josh, answer this question. If we put 100,000 fans in a stadium and have an ESPN broadcast between Georgia Southern and Louisiana, it's going to look the freaking same, bro.
Well, just
I really do. It's going to look the same. The difference is the presentation.
I think Billy's all in on the amateurism part because he really does mean it. And we got to know him a little bit. He really does mean it when he says he wants to teach the game. He wants to get to know the person. He wants to do all those small, intangible, nitty-gritty things that it takes to take 115 guys and turn them into champions. I never, when somebody offers you $7 million a year, you have to say yes. It's generational money. His family will never have to worry about money ever again. His children will never have to worry about money ever again. I understand why he had to say yes to that. I think that our situation with Billy was kind of prototypical to what he was looking for. And his second act here in the Sun Belt is going to be Louisiana on steroids. And yeah, maybe he's making $1 million base, but those incentives are going to kick in. He's going to have more resources for his assistants. His NIL budget is probably, I don't know, double, maybe triple what he was going to get here. He's going to have fan support like he never had here. He's going to have leadership support like he never had here. And he's going to play on the much more difficult side, which is the east side of the Sun Belt, so that when they play these out-of-conference games, they can compete because iron sharpens iron. I think it's an absolute grand slam hire for JMU. As soon as they announced it, I just shook my head and I said yes. Billy's from what, North Georgia, South Carolina, somewhere in there. He knows that pipeline. He knows that recruiting area. He's going to absolutely crush it in these living rooms. He's going to absolutely crush it with the people he's able to hire as far as his direct staff, his analysts, his support staff. They're going to give him 70 freaking support staff members. He's going to get whatever he wants. He's going to get total institutional control. And that's what a guy like Billy Napier knows how to build out an organization. And that's what he did here at Louisiana. And that's why he was so successful while he was here, because we overextended and we gave him what he needed to win. And he did. So JMU is going to give him all those resources, and he's going to be able to do it without the fallout of going broke in 2 years. And that's the difference. And yeah, I don't see how anybody, I'm not talking about just us. I don't see how anybody in the Sun Belt is going to be able to compete with that. That's going to be a monster. That might be the next major, G5, G6 team that makes the big step forward. They're going to have all the publicity and all the accomplishment from the playoff already. They're going to have the momentum in recruiting. They got the NIL budget. I mean, you're talking about the possibility of the next Boise State, like in this century, like the next Boise State that made us believers in the G5 model. He's on the precipice of that. I really believe that, because everything is there for the taking.
You know what the funniest thing, and we'll get into Feinbaum in a second, but the funniest thing that I heard from ESPN talking heads was, it was fine Boise State made it because they had a generational talent in Ginty. And because of that, we wanted them in the playoff. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Oh, because you had one player on your team, you want to see them in the playoff, but KG, I mean, it's been, and we're going to tease a behind enemy lines coming up later, where he talks about their journey in FCS and what the FCS playoff looks like versus FBS, and how ridiculous that we're even having these conversations because they already have a model in place that we could just use, but because of money, that ruins it. But looking at Billy at JMU, you think it's going to translate into success for him there?
So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna throw it to G, because G was in the private chat really wanting to chime in on Billy at JMU, and I know he's chomping at the bit. I'm gonna let G go, and then I'm gonna give my final thoughts on Billy, because I know I stated it by clapping my hands. I said JMU admin, great hire. I really do believe that. But G, jump in right here.
No, I appreciate it. Sorry I'm late, guys. First of all, congratulations to JMU. Nick, 20 years ago, the Sun Belt started, or 24 years ago, the Sun Belt started football. Who would have thought in year one you have a 5-6 team that wins the conference, and now you have a team that is vying for a national championship? It's not just making the CFP. The Sun Belt has a representative playing for a national title. Never thought I would have seen that in my lifetime. So congratulations to JMU. Josh, I think I told you the other day with Billy. They handed him the keys to a brand new Maserati. That's what it is. JMU is a brand new Maserati. They got everything in place. They got tradition. They got wins. First year at FBS, they were ranked in the top 25 in a transitional year, which is unheard of. Honestly, I just shook my head and laughed when he got the job, because I'm just like, some schools have to, when they get a new coach, well, they got a few years to rebuild. We'll talk like Will Hall at Tulane. That's a different story. But now at JMU, I mean, guys, I'm gonna just tell y'all, I think they have next 4 or 5 years, they'll be the champions of the Sun Belt. I don't know any team right now that could that could really challenge them. I just don't see it. I mean, think about it like this: they go to the playoff, and even if they lose in the first round to Oregon, they pick up from where they left off with Billy, a guy with a 40-12 record at UL, a guy that was not as successful at Florida, but has the experience to coach against the best of the best. I feel like JMU won the lottery 3 times in a row. I feel like they won the Powerball 3 times in a row. So
it's not an accident. They know what the hell they're doing.
Like,
this is not a lottery. They are a serious athletic program looking for serious candidates who seriously want to win. They know that winning is lucrative, and they understand the benefits that come with all of that. I mean, dude, they don't have a 40,000 or 38,000 enrollment? That's not an accident.
They got money too, man.
Well, they have money from the students because they bought into athletics. Our people don't give a shit about athletics because there's no reason for them to give a shit about athletics.
And they got a rich alumni, and they got people who care, and they've got commitment, and they've got a tradition. We talk, people want to compare to App State. Really, you compare it to JMU, they're pretty similar in many ways. JMU just happened to be more of a Johnny-come-lately with the success as far as being able to build on it. But I mean, when I say win the lottery, there is a commitment, but at the same time, I'm just looking at this. I'm just like, there's really nothing that could go wrong over there right now. Like, I feel like even losing a head coach, they get a guy who's just as good as Bob Chesney, if not better. Honestly, he's had more success at the FBS level than Bob Chesney has. No disrespect to Bob Chesney, but yeah, I think the next 4 or 5 championships are going to go to JMU. I don't see how Billy, and that's if he even stays that long. I don't know. Maybe this may be another shot at him for the P4, but I feel like you said, Josh, at the G5 level, this is a perfect setup for him. Perfect setup.
I don't know, KG, if I'm bought into that quite yet. I need to see him there for a couple years. I mean, he's a good recruiter. Offensively aggravates the shit out of everybody who he coaches for. If he can recruit the talent he needs there, but also think again, James Madison might lose all their players next year to either Chesney or other teams that are watching in the CFB. So I don't know if I'm bought into that quite yet.
So hear me out. There's reports that he is going to be hiring an offensive coordinator and an offensive play caller. There's reports, there's rumors, and if so, good on him, because that was his downfall at Florida. He just didn't want to. I don't know the ins and outs of his time at Florida, but it doesn't matter. I want you guys to consider a couple of things, though. He comes into a well-oiled machine. We talked about that so far. He's going to get the recruits and the exposure of JMU being in the playoff for the better. That means going forward, that makes recruiting that much easier, right? Well, not only that, though, it makes scheduling that much easier. So JMU got criticized for having a very weak out-of-conference schedule, Louisville being the only, P4 opponent they have. Well, that's not going to be a problem going forward. They're going to take the best teams from the American. They're going to take the best teams from the ACC. They're probably going to start regularly playing them within the next 2, 3, 4 years. And like I said on Cajun Threads, and, for anybody watching that's not on Cajun Threads, please go sign up. We have great conversation. Like I said on Cajun Threads, I fully expect to see JMU out of the Sun Belt in 5 to 10 years. JMU just has the financials. They have the exposure, whether they go to the American or maybe they make the jump to the ACC. They're in a good market right there on the East Coast. They would slide in nicely. The point I'm getting at is if Billy Napier can do what we think he's going to do, and he plays these marquee games against the top of the American, the top of the ACC, and has success in those games, I mean, that's going to be people are going to be coming knock on JMU's door to get him in their conference is what I'm getting at. So whether Billy leaves in 3, 4, 5 years because he's completely resurrected his career, which I think he will. I don't think he'll ever be an SEC coach again, but I certainly think he could be in the ACC, maybe even, a Big Ten type deal. But whether he leaves or not is not the question. It's how long is JMU really going to be in this conference? Because, Jerry, I agree. I really think they're going to run this conference unless App State decides to wake up and get back into it.
They are not going to run this conference. Well, I'm not saying JMU's not going to run the conference. Where are they going to go, bro? Who's taking them in? The ACC? No. I mean, the conferences are already so freaking big that they're missing out on playoff spots. Guess what's going to happen? Certain schools, this is all so jacked up. What, Jerry?
But listen, don't be surprised if the ACC comes calling in a couple years, because now there's talks once again, of more conference expansion. Clemson, Florida State, Miami, to name a few, that the SEC or somebody else may be trying to poach, or the Big Ten may try to poach with these crazy mega super conferences that we all think is kind of ridiculous in the first place. So if there's some 2 or 3 openings, don't be surprised if JMU's in that conversation. They got the money, man. Look, they've got like a $60 or $70 million budget, which if you add the SEC TV deal, that's about another 55, 60 million. That's about $130 million. That rivals more of your P4 schools. So JMU's got the money. Don't think for 1 second, or at least don't sleep on them if that conversation comes in the next 5 years, especially if they're showing more success in the other sports besides just football. Because look, basketball, they went to the dance last year. They beat Michigan State at their house, and their baseball team, they're investing in that. The softball team has a history. JMU's got the ripe recipe for a chance to go to a bigger conference, and they would be one of the first, in my opinion, from the Sun Belt to make a move to a P4.
I'm going to get to you in a second, KG, but I do want to ask you first, Lane, because I think we talked about this earlier. Tulane jumps to the ACC, we fill the American, but I have zero confidence in the vision of our current athletics leadership that we would ever do that. I mean, do you have any confidence this would ever happen? I appreciate it, Terry, because this is what should happen. But Lane, I have no confidence. Sorry, bro.
I mean, prior 2020, or not 2020, post 2021, you could say that with the success that we started to have with under Napier and all the other success we've had in the athletic department. But the last 2 to 3 years or so, it's gone in a downward trend, and I'd love to jump to another conference, but I don't, unless something crazy happens, I don't see it happening for us. Like you said, with the leadership, with the lack of funds we have or don't have, it would be kind of hard to move conferences when we don't have the money for a buyout to pay the Sun Belt, and I just don't see it happening, unfortunately.
Cole, one of the things that pisses me off is people are talking, Terry, not pissed off at you, but this is what people are saying. If Virginia Tech go to SEC, which I don't see happening, but if that does happen, JMU is going to jump. JMU is an R2 university. That matters. That matters when it comes to university presidents admitting conference mates. Now, I know JMU from an athletic perspective is sexy, but remember, it's not all about that. It's about endowment. It's about R2, R1. It's about enrollment. They have about 22,000. I think Josh had mentioned it was like in the 30s. They have 22,000 students total. So relatively a little bit bigger than UL, but I don't. What market do they have for JMU? I mean, what, and that's what it all matters right now. It's market, it's numbers. North Texas has a better chance of jumping to the ACC, in my opinion, than James Madison because of those reasons. R1 university, high enrollment, market. That's all they care about. So, KG, do you think this is a stepping stone for JMU to eventually be in another conference? I'm not buying that.
Okay, well, listen, we're all agreeing, though, that there will be a major conference reshuffle.
Totally.
But that's what I'm saying. If you think JMU is just going to sit idle amongst that reshuffle, you're crazy. Because once everything gets reshuffled, even at a minimum, let's say they go to the American, we can all agree, even as diehard Cajun fans, the American is a far better conference to be in than the Sun Belt. Bottom line. So
perception-wise this year, yes.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying. Even if they would make the jump to the American, that's growing their brand. The American, arguably this year, if North Texas would have won and beat Tulane, North Texas would be in the playoff as well. They had 2 schools that could have been playoff bound. The American is better than the ACC currently right now, top to bottom. I'm gonna be honest with you. But no, Terry, going back to Tulane, that's a snowball. I don't expect Tulane to be in the American much longer. I really don't. Whether they get picked up by like a Big 12 or the ACC, and then like Jerry said, the SEC will expand. The last I heard, it's going to be North Carolina and Clemson, two very notable schools, good in all sports. North Carolina's great in basketball and baseball. They're decent in football. Belichick's got to get his shit together, and then Clemson is Clemson, who has the history among all sports. But what I'm saying is, with this reshuffle, JMU's not going to sit idle. They're not going to do like we do. And I mean, I'm the guy in Lafayette that don't like to push a lot of buttons, and I say some jabs here and there, but I'm going to say it. Our admin is awfully complacent lately. And I'm going to say this past year, we spent $39 million in athletics, and it was one of the worst. Well, either way, Jerry, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying. It was one of the worst athletic years in recent memory. It was. So if we're spending that kind of money and we're not doing jack shit in the athletics, and now we got, a new president coming in that's going to manage the budget how it should be managed, and we're going to get to this later. We got an athletic director that's having to take a pay cut. I mean, how are you going to grow athletics from there? It's going to be all grassroots. It has to be. So, I mean, I know we're talking bigger picture with bigger schools. We're talking about the JMUs and the Tulanes and, XYZ. We're not in that conversation, boys. All we can do is hope that we can get our athletics back into a decent place to be in those conversations, but we are certainly not in them right now.
But Tulane sucked when they got into the AAC. They got in because, one, they tried. Two, their academics is amazing. And so it had little to do with their actual performance.
They made the most of their money. They made the most of their hires. What I'm saying is we made chicken shit out of chicken salad. They made chicken salad out of, chicken shit. And we're the way we mismanaged our money in that academically, really across the entire university, does not give me hope of any advancement within the next decade. I'm going to be very honest with you.
Let's move on and talk about all the hate about the G5, because regardless, right now, Tulane is G5. So is the AAC, even their perceived better conference, which I think they are a better conference this year. Not every year, but they're always perceived to be a better conference, which they're not always a better conference. Sunbelt certainly has surpassed them at some time. And Josh, I do want you to jump on this in a little bit. So if you want to add yourself, I want to get comments on the Powell from Alabama going to be running for Senate. I hope he loses 800,000 votes because of his stupid rant about, I don't apologize for saying the G5 doesn't belong. That's complete bullshit. And we can say this till we're blue in the face. The power conferences have all the power. The G5 dumbasses gave them all the power because they were so scared they would break away from the NCAA. And by the way, T. Joe was one of the presidents representing the G5 that signed off on it. We gave them all the power to make all the decisions. They make the decision for the playoff to be what it is, and now they're pissed off that the playoff is what it is because they didn't benefit. And then you got Notre Dame pitching bitch fits because they didn't get in, because they didn't do what they needed to do to get in, and they're not in a conference, and they're mad the ACC campaigned for their people ahead of them. Why wouldn't they? Because they're conference mates. That's the dumbest argument ever. Oh, well, we will no longer have a partnership with the AAC because they campaigned against us. I would fire my conference commissioner if they put you ahead of the actual conference mates. So, this is, and again, Josh, add yourself in. I want to get your guys' takes, and I don't care who goes first. I'll start with you, Josh. Feinbaum's an idiot, number one. Number two, if you haven't seen bigger collusion from a national standpoint than this G5 argument, if you don't get the fact that now and by the way, they say nobody wants to see this. I don't watch Tennessee versus Texas. I don't give a shit. I watch Texas versus A&M because I'm in Texas and I like it. I don't watch big games. I watch Louisiana Tech versus Delaware. I watch Georgia Southern versus App State. I don't give a shit about the other games. So the
how these guys perceive that their opinion is the only one that matters in telling everybody else what they should think. If that doesn't tell you what's going on in college football, Josh, I mean, we're dead. We're done. That's just one of the many reasons college football is dead right now.
So, do you know what state Feinbaum's supposed to run for Senate in? Anybody know?
Is it Alabama? It's not even Alabama, is it?
So we're gonna go from Tuberville to Feinbaum, a dick with ears. That's gonna be our Senate representative in the South.
If he gets elected, yeah.
If anybody understands why we have crumbling roads, awful health care, $40 trillion in debt, and all our money goes overseas, it's because we elect morons.
Well, don't
like
look further than the governor of Louisiana right now, but that's a whole different topic.
Our idiot governor. I mean, he's the most embarrassing governor in the South as far as I'm concerned, but let's not do politics. Look, Feinbaum has found this traction in Alabama, Mississippi, that panhandle of Florida. I don't know where all of his popularity comes from, but man, the IQ of the people that watch the show it's got to be below 40. It's tough. He says things that are factually incorrect. He does this grift where it's all like, I got a grudge against two schools that are supposedly running the SEC, and he does this whole bit, and then I know that him and Saban had a thing. Paul Feinbaum is about as relevant as a VCR. I don't even know how this dude is still clip farming. Like, how have we still given an idiot like this? I don't even know if he's a boomer. He may be from the greatest generation. What's he, 70? Like, what does this dude know about current college football? What does he know about current athletics at all? He was one of the first voices against NIL. When all the kids from Michigan State, I think it was Michigan State or Northwestern.
He was so pissed.
When all the kids from Northwestern wanted to unionize, this dude went on like one of the most absurd, unhinged rants I've ever seen. This guy's going to run for Senate. He's for the people. Anyway, I don't want to get distracted. Look, we got to deplatform these idiots. We got to find a way to silence the voices that do not matter, are totally disconnected, have no relationship with reality when it comes to modern day athletics. Have you ever seen a sports media that has mimicked political media like you did this week? It is almost the same machine that you see in political mass media.
It is exactly the same machine.
Said the same thing. They had the same talking points. They had the same grievances, the grievance politics. It was, and guys, this is not an accident. Most of the SEC is run by ESPN because they're owned by ABC
and Disney.
They're owned by the same three companies that get all their money from the same two people. We all have seen this movie before. They got their marching orders and they were told what to say, and you saw everybody go out and they peppered all of media from podcasters to ESPN to Fox. It was embarrassing. And the people that fall for this is like they want to fall for it. They want to be told that the SEC is still on top and the Big Ten can't be questioned and the G5 have no place. What's so funny is that they completely disregard the fact that every other collegiate sport has conferences being rewarded for winning their conferences. Every single one. And the ones that have at-larges and whatnot, like, it's still a viable way to do a playoff. You look at the FCS model. What's wrong with that? What do you got, 24 playoff teams? You telling me we can't do that out of 136 programs? You telling me that wouldn't be good for college football? No. It's not good for two commissioners in their fiefdoms on the East Coast, in the South, and I'll say three fiefdoms in the Midwest. Like, that's the only thing that matters. The only thing that matters is that they take all the money and they pool it for themselves. And then they disperse it amongst their 12, 16 program conferences. That's what this is all about. It's about keeping the money in-house. They don't want JMU in because it's not about ratings and all this other shit. Their fans, it's not a countrywide fan base. So when Ohio State goes to the Sugar Bowl and they're playing in a playoff game, they're going to have millions of fans. They're going to have a total sellout of their ticket allotment, where JMU will probably sell out their ticket allotment, but maybe the TV ratings won't necessarily reflect that. You know, I mean, but that's not what the competition is supposed to be about. Competition and real competition and trying to find a real champion has never been about who's going to make you the most money. It's about having competitors on the field that are going to make the game interesting. That's what matters. And that's why you play the games on the field, not on paper. But they want you to totally forget about that. They want it to be a brand versus a brand so that we can get 100 million views across the country. They want it to be a mini NFL version of a different sport. And that's what they're trying to do. They want to keep the money between 40 programs, and that's the only way that they see forward for college football. Damn the rest of the 110 programs that make up the FBS. Damn the Sun Belt. Damn the AAC. As much as the AAC want to be the P5 or the P6, and Oresco kind of died on that hill. Damn all those programs that make up a huge regional viewership and supporter base and donor base and all the other things that go into the fabric of college football. Damn all those bases and those programs. Damn all that. It's only about the Big 10, the Big 12, and the SEC. That's what they want your
players. But we want your players and coaches.
Oh, sure.
You suck as a program, but give me all your players and coaches.
Well, look at Indiana.
We want them.
Look at Indiana. Literally, Surratt is one of the best wide receivers in the entire country. The guy was at JMU last year. You got Signetti, 2 years ago. You got Signetti, who would have been seen as basically Sunbelt Billy 2 years ago. The difference between him and Billy is that Billy played the two most difficult strength of schedule in the entire country in the SEC 2 years in a row and went 6-6 and I think 5-7. And Signetti played in the Big 10. Where there are literally 3 real programs. Let's be honest. So that's the difference. And he was able to build his program with JMU players and G5 guys that he developed and got paid. It's a JMU. It's literally JMU on steroids with resources. That's who the number one team in the country in this here playoff in 2025 is. But they don't want to have that conversation. They want to keep everybody out. They want the money to stay within, 35 to 40 programs, and they want to have their own little semi-pro league. They want everybody else to farm the talent, the coaches, all that up to those programs. This is not hard to figure out. And the fact that the Feinbaums and the Danny Cannells, who, by the way, Danny Cannell has made a career, couldn't play quarterback in the NFL, barely was a quarterback in college. Sorry, Cole, I apologize. I know he's a Seminole, but that's the truth. Couldn't really win anything. So he's made a career off of just banging on the SEC and trying to make the ACC like some sort of a whipping boy for the SEC. Do I think the SEC is artificially inflated every single year? Absolutely. I mean, you can go across all sports, and just because they have ranked programs doesn't make them the best conference. It doesn't. If you assign a ranking to a bad Auburn team and they go 5-7, and then they go to the Iron Bowl and Alabama beats them by what was it? 10, 9, whatever it was. They can say, oh, well, Auburn started the season as a top 25 team and they kind of fell on hard times because of injuries.
Always excuses to fit your narrative, bro.
It's all horseshit. And it's all artificially
Nobody wants
inflavored.
to see Tulane get blown out. Nobody wants to see JMU blown out, but we ignore the blowouts from past championship games. That happened with P5 schools.
Even the ACC, they want to talk about Duke's the ACC champion. Duke went 0-2 against G5 schools, including Tulane, who got in before them, and they're still having a freaking hissy fit.
Yeah,
we're not
arguing
not having a good faith conversation about this thing.
That's amazing to me that you're arguing that a 5-loss team belongs in the playoff ahead of James Madison. In what freaking universe? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone, bro.
They got their marching orders. The Feinbaums of the world, the Danny Cannells, the Bud Elliott's, who is a complete and total moron, by the way. I don't know how we ever supported that guy. He follows us for some reason. I have no idea. There's so many of these national guys. Booger McFarland, who can barely speak English. You got these other morons on ESPN and Joel Klatts of the world. Joel Klatt played at Colorado, didn't win a goddamn thing. Colorado was basically a G5 when he played there, and he has the nerve to get on Fox, the big noon show or whatever, and then go on with Colin Cowherd, who's also a buffoon, a West Coast elitist moron, who has sucked off Lincoln Riley, who has done nothing in college football but go to the Sugar Bowl and lose to Tulane. That's what Lincoln Riley did, okay? You got all these talking head morons saying the same regurgitated crap, And they're not even having a good faith intellectual conversation about why college football at large needs the G5, how we should prop up conference champions, how the MAC champion should have a seat at the table. Because in the middle of the country where you don't have a ton of SEC, Big 10, Big 12 support, they still care about Toledo and Bowling Green and in Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky. They still care about those schools. So you want to alienate those people? No, it's bullshit. We're not having a legitimate conversation, and it's all because they're shaping the narrative from a national media perspective, and they're giving you the morsels that they want you to hear. They're not having a real conversation. So it has made me sick to my stomach to watch these idiots talk about college football at large. They don't care about college football. The people that hate college football the most, the people that have grifted off of college football the most, are the ones that talk about it in this negative light as if 110 of the programs don't belong in the damn sport.
Before we welcome in the ambassador, because he's in the waiting room, I do want to put this. This has been up for a while because I want people to read it. Illusory truth effect. This is what you see in politics. It's what you saw when you heard Biden say MAGA Republicans. It's what you saw when you heard Trump say Hillary, crooked Hillary. You repeat the same thing over and over, January 6th, over and over, all this stuff. Because eventually people believe it because they hear it so much. That's what ESPN is trying to do. Now, if you tell me nobody wants to watch, nobody wants to watch these games. I got 1,000 people that liked this post saying, yeah, they do. In fact, Connor Stallion's weird liked it and retweeted it. That's I don't take any credit for that.
Let's go.
But still, like, you got 1,000 people saying, yeah, you are right. And so, yeah, some people do want to watch these freaking games. And I get it. It's not 100 million people in America, but people do want to watch. Like me, I don't care if Tennessee in a bowl game, I can promise you I don't care if Tennessee plays Washington State. I have nothing. I have no clue, don't care, don't want to watch it.
Can somebody tell me what's relevant about Tennessee football?
Nothing.
They haven't won a thing in 25 freaking years.
They have a team.
Why is a Tennessee fan talking to me? You haven't done shit. You've done as much as I have in the playoff. All right?
I get it. Let's welcome in the ambassador. He's been waiting a while. Hopefully he hadn't fallen asleep quite yet, but we do want to bring him on. And we want to bring him on. This is the perfect mode, Caden, because we're going to talk about game prep and bowl prep and what that's look like. But I want you to get in on this conversation, man. I mean, people have been shitting on the G5, and I think it's ridiculous. You know, as a player in college football, because trust me, a TCU is looking at, oh, Caden, we'll bring him, but you guys suck, but we want you. Like, we're frustrated as fans. Do you guys kind of look at it the same way? Like, who are these guys talking about us like we don't deserve a spot at the table?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, what's up, guys? Hope y'all are.
Oh, yeah, by the way, we're fired up, man. I'm sorry.
Actually,
I'm sorry.
yeah,
We'll get to that later.
I get it. It's passion. No, but I mean, I agree, like what you just said, honestly. Like, from a player standpoint, personally, I don't get too sucked into it. I don't go down the rabbit hole, I'm sure, as much as y'all do. But that's just by choice. And honestly, like, from my perspective, I feel like, you know, a lot of these players come from these group of 5 teams. And so, you know, these media people and people from the outside that want to comment fail to realize that I feel like, you know, group of 5 is part of the backbone of college football, honestly. And so whether you look at it like that or not, I feel like football is football at the end of the day. And so I haven't you know, surrounded myself too much with all the politics going on right now. But, you know, I've obviously have been seeing it. So I think it's kind of crazy. It's a crazy time to be a college football player and a fan right now, honestly. And so it'll be interesting to see, you know, how this playoff scene kind of rounds out. But, you know, I'm glad that JMU's got a shot in it. You know, I'll be rooting for those guys because obviously it's great to see a Sun Belt team kind of represented, and obviously Tulane as well. And so I feel like it's good for college football. You know, everyone's got their different opinions. There's people out there more educated than I am. I just play the damn thing. You know, I just play football. I enjoy playing football. And so I've got my own opinion. You know, I feel like, you know, there's a lot of talent at this level, and it's just all about, you know, resources and funding that just kind of separates us. And so at the end of the day, they're still ballers everywhere. So it's crazy, what it's kind of turned into. But I mean, that's the landscape of college football right now. So,
but does it kind of motivate you a little bit to be like, oh, James Madison, Tulane's right there, like we can do this too, right?
I mean,
that kind of motivates me to a certain point as well.
For sure. I mean, when we went, what was it last year? When we had the year that we had last year, and we had all those predictions of certain percentages of getting a playoff bid and all that kind of stuff. Like it's realistic when it comes to a point whenever you're being successful. And so, obviously you got to start off small. You got to start off with, chasing 6 wins, and then you got to start off, winning your conference, winning the conference championship. And then it's real, the competition that we play, in conference and out of conference, it's real football. So it's not like we're going to win out and then, not even be looked at. So, you gotta handle your stuff back at home, and then obviously you're going to get looks. And so it's a very realistic thing. And it's cool to see a school like that kind of get that spotlight, because they deserve it. They did really well. They handled the business at home. And so, look where it's got them.
And we should have beat their ass, but that's a whole nother conversation for another day. We had them, man. We had them. Let's, I guess we do have to talk about the bowl a little bit. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. As a fan, I wasn't thrilled about the blue, like what the hell's a blue hen? Like I cook hens and gumbo. Like we don't know them because they're in Delaware. I mean, so we have a behind enemy lines thing. I pulled up a map and I said, okay, let me see if I can point out Delaware. Somehow I got it right. I'm going to try it with these guys later. But look, Delaware 6-6 on the season. They, they have a pretty freaking good quarterback that can not only pass the ball, but he can also run high tempo offense. Our defense can't be caught on their heels because they will score a lot of points if we do that. But talk about game preparation, because, week to week, it's kind of the same. Your opponent as you kind of go through things. But when it's bowl season, is there any difference in the preparation in practice for the bowl game when you don't even know your opponent?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely interesting to see. Bowl week is obviously special, and it's unique in the sense that we play the teams that we get to play, and then postseason we get to play Delaware, right? It's something new. It's something to kind of prepare for. And so, I mean, you hit it right on the head. It's like they're a good team. They got an explosive offense. They do a lot of good stuff on defense, and so, looking at it, they're going to be fired up to play. It's their first bowl game. It's going to be like a Kennesaw State situation, honestly, in my opinion, to where they're going to be fired up to play us. As I'd hope so, we're going to get their best shot. And so we just got to, if we play our game, we're going to win. At the end of the day, I'll say that for all the games that we played this season, if we play our game, we're going to win. So the mentality and the preparation hasn't changed, but I'd say it's changed in the sense where, we've been talking for the past 5 weeks about getting to a spot where we're even thinking about a postseason championship. And so now we're here, but like the goal is not to, hang up a banner in the indoor. The goal is to hang up a banner with the championship written on it. And so we didn't come this far just to come this far. And so we didn't sacrifice what we did. We don't got seniors, laying their life on the line just to get to a bowl game. Like we're not there to, again, we're going there to win the damn football game. Like we're not there to, obviously the bowl experience is fun. All that kind of stuff is fun. We've earned that. These guys earned it, but we're there to win the damn football game. And we're looking to go out on a high note and get some momentum going into the next season. But most definitely, like, we're looking to get a bowl championship. And so Delaware just happens to be the team that we lined up with. They could have put us with anyone, and the mentality would have been the same. But there's definitely not like a lack of intent or urgency behind this. This is now like we're in game preparation. Like this is another game. This is a championship game. And so we've been saying for the past 4 weeks, let's get to this point. Let's get to this point. Well, now we're here. So at the end of the day, it's just time to go out there and handle business. So and like I said, it just happens to be Delaware. So be it. So it'll be a fun game. We're excited.
Yeah. And I got my fingers and toes crossed, man. By the way, shout out to all the players, because except for one we've seen, no declarations for the portal. A lot of guys are going to be playing in this game, and that means a lot to us as fans. What happens after the bowl game, it happens after the bowl game. But the fact that so many guys are sticking around to get this win, that means a lot to guys like me. So, if the players are watching, thank you for doing that. And, what happens after is a personal decision, but sticking around for the brand, for the team, for your teammates is freaking awesome, man. I don't want to get into specifics about certain players, because I certainly want to say, how's lunch doing? We're not going to get into that because we haven't seen a depth chart yet. But has the couple weeks off, preparation, some of the guys who've been banged up, have you seen, like, are those guys getting healthy? And again, this is not any particular player, but are some of the guys who were kind of banged up, maybe had some nagging injuries, getting better for the bowl game in preparation for that because they do have a couple of weeks off?
Most definitely. I mean, like you said, without getting into specifics, like as a team, we're very healthy right now, and it's exciting to see because 3 weeks ago I would not have given that answer, honestly. And so I'm going to go off personally. Like personally, I feel great. You know, we've had these days off, and the coaches, honestly, Coach Des structured it in a great way to where we're still getting work, but you know, we've got structured break days and consecutive days off in there, and so. I feel like that was to our advantage, and you know it's all about taking advantage of time off. And so I feel like for the most part, you know, now we're entering our game week in our regular schedule with the game on Wednesday. So I feel like, you know, the team handled that really well, and certain guys are starting to kind of come back and come healthier. But I mean, we just got one more, so it's all out on the line now. You know, there's no saving, there's no, you know, leaving some in the tank, and you know a lot of those guys realize that. But it is good, you know, you did mention it is good to kind of see those certain guys get back and healthy.
All right, Coach Des. I'm about to start getting silly in this because, you know, it's probably the last time I'll talk to him this season, and I'm going to ask some stupid questions. So I'll give you opportunity if you want to be semi-serious or dumb. You go right ahead, bro.
No, I'm gonna ask you this first because we got some pretty good news earlier this week, and I'm sure you guys are thrilled about it as well. Tyree Skipper gets to play in the game.
Yeah.
Free Tyree, baby. Let's go.
I know you boys love Skip. And like Nick said, this is a quarterback that can throw it all over the field. He's fifth in the country in passing yards. What does having a guy like, you know, Skip being able to be reinstated into that defensive backfield to help out with an offense like that, what does that do for a program?
I mean, I think it just adds a little extra level of intensity. You know, Skip's a great leader, and he's a vocal leader. And so now that thankfully he's able to come back and play for this bowl game, I feel like that's just going to, you know, bring the intensity of the whole defense up. Those guys that stepped up in his place stepped up big time. And so with having him back, it's going to elevate the level of competition to where they're not just going to hand him. I know this for the coaches, you know, they're not just going to hand him a spot back on the field. You know, he's going to go out there and earn. He's going to bust his ass throughout the week. He's going to make our offense better. He's going to make the defense better. And at the end of the day, you know, Skip's a crash out. Y'all know that. Y'all see the way he plays. And so he's going to go out there with his head on fire. And I'm really happy to see it because that guy deserves to get this game. And so I feel like, you know, we're as a team, we're excited and we're fired up to kind of play around him. And it'll be fun. You know, he's super excited to play. He's made that pretty clear. So we're pretty amped up.
All right, man. Last question for you as far as the game goes. So Delaware's defense usually runs like a 3-3-5. They normally have six in the box. But like, you know, we're a run-heavy team. We want to try to beat you run first. Tell me what you see on film without giving too much away. And do you expect them to maybe bring another defender in the box to stop the run? What are y'all expecting as an offense?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to add on certain guys, you know, like a safety as a rover, kind of adding in late. Obviously, like they said, they play that 3-3-5. You know, the box as a whole, it stays there. So they're testing you true. And so in film, I see a lot of, you know, they're going to make those front seven guys, they're going to make, you know, opposing offenses earn it, and then they'll kind of respond and respect it from there. But, you know, I feel like our game plan is simple, and it's simple in the fact that we just got to control the ball, and we got to command the offense. And if that means running it every play, that means running every play. But, obviously, you know, knowing our offense, we're not going to do that. We're going to run the ball, and we're going to take shots when they're there. And so, if they load the box, good. You know, we'll hit them deep, and if not, then we're going to run the ball. We got guys that are stepping up. You know, still being hit hard in the offensive line room, but we still got guys stepping up and filling in roles to where there's not a drop off. The expectations just go up, and so the support around it has been great. You know, we got guys like Jax stepping up big time. You know, Jax he's a freaking warrior. I mean, that's what it is. And he's being a vocal leader, and he's bringing the other guys, the new guys with him. And so, obviously, you know how I like the run game. I'm excited to kind of get after these guys. You know, they've got good guys on defense. They play well with good technique. Like watching film today, you know, they've got tight hands. They've got good pad level. It's what we've played before. And so it's going to be a good challenge for us to kind of just stick true to us and stay true to our rules and you know, play as a team and fight for these guys that are, that, you know, we're scratching and clawing for this win. So we're excited. They're a good defense. We're not downplaying them by any means, but we are ready to kind of get this run game going because that's when the fun begins.
Before you go, KG, I do want to ask you, Caden, they're a high tempo offense. Have you guys been practicing, you know, has the defense been practicing against a high tempo offense these couple of weeks? I mean, obviously they want to score fast over the top is what they like to do. So is that been part of the game preparation going into the game?
I mean, honestly, I can't speak too much on the defense, just because we're both locking to our sides of the ball. But from what I've heard, talking to my boys, it's a lot of it's kind of what they rely off based off like Texas State. They rely kind of on those explosives in that fast paced offense. So I feel like we handled it well throughout the game versus Texas State. So I have confidence in our defense. Being honest, we haven't really had a whole lot of full practices just with the break time and the extent of not knowing when the bowl game was. So you probably expect to see that coming up, but I feel like we handled it pretty well against an offense like Texas State, and so I feel pretty confident. However we handle it going into these practice days, that they're going to be prepared because we're looking to kind of push the tempo and stuff too, and so it'll be good to kind of get good on good reps, and it's only going to help both of us out. So.
All right, man. I'm gonna let you get a little personal with this one in a good way.
Oh boy.
Opening it. No, it's not game related. You love ball.
No pictures, I promise.
No. You know ball. You love ball. You got guys that play all around the country. D1. My question to you is simple. Are you gonna have your eye on any particular bowl game this season? And if the answer is no, what guys are you watching around the country that are playing in bowl games?
Yeah. Honestly, no real bowl game in particular. I'd say like the main ones. As much as I like football and as much as I study it and I'm obsessed with it, I suck when it comes to like looking at guys outside of our program and looking out of my little bubble. And so, obviously, I got to go back to my guy Terrence Carter. I'll be definitely keeping an eye on him. And my mom was able to, Lindsay, she was able to go out and watch and go to the game. She got some tickets and was able to go watch Terrence play in person. And so that was pretty cool. He's a great guy. We'll be rooting for him. And then, obviously just kind of following the college football playoff scheme. And so it's kind of nice to have like an early bowl game. That way we can kind of play, get the dub, get back home, and then just sit back and watch football. That's kind of been different. I've only thankfully had to experience that once during this regular season, with not going to South Al. But I think it'll be fun to kind of just look at it as an overview. But like I said, I kind of dropped the ball when it comes to following certain teams pretty closely. But I'll be kind of excited to kind of follow Terrence along, and those big kind of bowl games as well.
Last year, you guys went to New Mexico for the bowl game. This year, y'all are going to Mobile. Obviously, two different experiences, but what are you most looking forward to outside of the game experience?
New Mexico sucked, first of all. I'll say it for you. You don't have to say it. It sucked. Okay, continue.
Yeah, it was different flying in on Christmas Day. It was unique and fun in a way, but then it was also kind of, I wouldn't say depressing. It was a fun bowl experience, but it was different. Anyways, I don't know. Kind of a simple, funny answer. I'm looking forward to the hotel food in Mobile. I've heard it's pretty good. So I didn't travel because I had that concussion, and so. But those guys, Hunter and then Brock had filled me in. They were like, dude, because we always rate the hotel food based on where we stay. And he's like, man, this has been the best one yet. I'm like, well, pissed. Like, I missed it. So I'll be excited to kind of experience that. It's been a while since I've been in Mobile. Obviously, I'm just really looking to get my, as a Cajun, I'm looking to get my first championship ring. And so that's kind of like the main goal for me and a lot of other people is like, we're excited to get this opportunity to win a bowl game championship and get a ring and hold up a trophy, because that's one of our biggest goals. And so I think it'll be kind of fun to kind of get away with the team. We've got certain days in there that are, we practice in the morning, then got certain free time throughout the day. So it'll be fun. It'll be kind of fun to get outside of Lafayette and get into Mobile and kind of experience. I don't really know what Mobile has to offer. Lack of whatever they got. I don't know. It's not New Orleans. So it's not New Orleans or it's not New Mexico. I mean, New Mexico had some stuff. But it was definitely interesting being there. But Mobile will be fun. Definitely looking forward to kind of getting out with the team and just hanging out and bonding with the guys, honestly.
We talked about the dangers of New Orleans, so maybe not that terrible. Bowl game. Are they doing media day from the big battleship? I know that was a thing in the past. I think
I have no clue.
You don't know?
No clue. I have no clue. That'd be kind of cool though. I think we have something involved with that. Because I know throughout the bowl week we always do certain team events, and then we got like a team community service event. I don't know if that's going to be tied in with that or not, but I definitely, if we're not doing something, I'm sure some guys have already been talking about definitely going and seeing and visiting that.
Yeah, it's a little cramped. I'll just say that when you're trying to climb up that. I mean, it's crazy. It's a huge shift, and then you're cramped trying to get up those those ladders, but
you got to climb up ladders.
yeah, well, if you're really like going in the ship, like you climb up some like it's sketchy as you're going up it, but it's cool. It's cool. And like when you get up, it's like, but yeah, it's like these small tunnels of. Anyway, you're gonna be there apparently, from what people are telling me. Any cool swag that you know you're getting at, or is that all like when you get there, you kind of get?
Yeah, they talked about it today. We actually got a mass email about it. I think we got some like cool off-white swag coming in, some jumper swag and a few shirts. It's always cool to see what gear we're getting, and then I don't know what we're doing as far as like bowl gifts. I think.
Somebody's calling Caden. We're gonna hold on for. We know how this goes, man. Somebody's calling Caden. It's probably freaking Brock Chappell, one of the tight ends. Because I really wanted to hear about the swag, so we'll give him a second to get back on. Are you there, Caden? Never fails, man. Somebody, I'm telling you, somebody watches the stream and then at the worst possible moment calls him because he's got an Android. Because he should switch to iPhone. Lindsay, get your boy a freaking iPhone. I'm just saying.
They stream sniping him, Nick. They stream sniping him.
There he is. Get an iPhone, bro.
I mean, I do have an iPhone.
Oh my God, what is happening?
I get a call and my whole phone just shuts down. I don't know what's going on here. I'm getting doxxed or whatever.
I was telling your mama to get you a new phone and stuff.
My goodness. All right. Like,
yeah,
and it
swag.
It wasn't Cooper that time. So
I thought I was calling out Brock. I'm like, this Brock Chappell doing this shit.
It wasn't Brock.
Okay.
He was laughing at it. He
Sorry,
knew what
bro.
happened too. He knew
Sorry,
what happened.
bro.
I was just talking. I was like, panicking. No, swag. I think they got a cool little swag thing for us for some bowl gifts too. So I think we're all kind of excited to see that. But no, the EQ did a pretty good job as far as we got some cool shirts kind of coming in. I'm excited. We got this like white hoodie. I don't think I really have a whole lot of white gear or a white shirt or something like that from UL. So it'll be kind of cool. Add that to the collection.
How pissed are you going to be if Arkansas State players get an Xbox?
We were talking about
you'll
that
be
the other
pissed.
day.
I'm
We were
just
talking about
saying.
that the other day.
I'm just saying, bro.
They're definitely getting an Xbox.
I'll be pissed for you if they give them
I'll be a
Xboxes.
little salty. I'm an Xbox guy at heart. Like the first console I ever had. Okay, just wait. First console I ever had was the Xbox. I had the Xbox 360. Then I went Xbox One, Xbox S, Xbox, whatever the newest one is.
I've got the new. Do you have the new one?
I don't have it anymore, so I sold it. Stopped playing the game. Picked up golf.
If you don't take if you don't leave us, I'll give you mine. I'm just saying.
Then I got PlayStation.
I got that too. I got both.
I don't have it right now. I sold that.
Do you play Call of Duty?
No. We
Battlefield?
Play, I don't know if you.
If you say Fortnite, bro.
No. Hold on. We play NCAA and then.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Proof.
Yeah, Battlefield, bro. Add me.
That's Brock and Sims right now. I play on Brock's account.
I'm so terrible. I'm so terrible at Battlefield. So don't add me.
If y'all are gonna nerd out, so the first college football game that came out, Caden, I made UL's offense into a triple option, and we didn't have a fullback. You were the
of course you would.
Wait, Caden was the highest rated fullback on the roster. I plugged him in at fullback. Wait, he leads the country in goal line touchdowns. So if you want to play fullback, bro, you got it.
Hey, and anyone out there, if they're building their team, tad bit of information. My first ever start on varsity football in high school, I played center. So I can snap the ball. I've got the skill set holstered. So if y'all need I don't really play the game. If y'all need a center in your Road to Glory team or whatever, I'm your boy. I got you.
I just need somebody to improve my XP on battle. Yeah, I'm Battlefield because I'm terrible at it. Okay, I do have to do this with you. I'm gonna embarrass you probably because I had to think about this, but we're gonna do it because I did it. All right, you see my my mouse pointer here.
Oh, don't
all right,
do this to me, guys.
Tell me when to stop when it is on Delaware. All right, here we go. It's moving.
Can you repeat the question?
All right, where is No, you can't get help, bro.
I'm not. No,
you were totally trying to cheat.
I was telling Hunter to.
Yeah, you're lying. All right, you see where it's moving? Where is
Yeah.
Delaware on this map? Just tell me when to stop.
Tell you when to stop. Where is Delaware? Right. Nope. Go back. Right there. No.
Right here?
No. Right to the right. To the right.
Here?
Right there.
Yeah,
Lock
I
it
think that's Rhode Island. This is Delaware, bro, right here. You see that piece of shit? That's nothing. That's it. Who gave you the wrong answer?
Get in the camera if you can give the right.
Who gave you the wrong
Get in
answer?
camera.
Is that Chapel? I can't see him. Why is he scared, bro?
Get in the camera.
I said it was that one. Come on, man.
I can't. I gotta turn my brightness. I think he told me the right answer. I'm just
Yeah. Nice trying to. Yeah, no, he
They're
totally
gonna-
gave you the wrong
Coming for
answer,
that.
Nick,
That's a
them
good clip.
boys ain't
That's
there to
awesome.
play school.
bro.
Athlete student. We're athlete students.
I had to go at the fourth floor of Maxim Duce to take a geography class, and he made us color some things, and I dropped that class so fast. This dude was showing us pictures of his. Yeah, no, I'm good.
I've been there, done that.
All right, Caden. Hey, man, we're pumped for you to have a good time at the bowl game. We look forward to seeing you score 50 on you're by yourself. Yeah, man, have fun, enjoy the experience, and look, we love you guys. We love your fam. You know, I love your family. They're going out. I know they already told me. I think Josh might be having a little tailgate out there, so tell them to look for him. But bro, kill it. That's all we got to say.
Yeah.
Get in the end zone, bro. Get in the end
I know.
zone.
I got y'all.
Do a little stupid dance, yeah,
I
and
know. I gotta. We got a long bus ride, so I'll think of something.
you gotta do something. All right, man. Enjoy it. Have fun. Thank you for everything you've done this season, and
sure.
yeah, we're gonna talk soon.
Yeah. All love, guys.
All right,
Go
brother.
Cajuns.
All right, the Brand Ambassador. Oh, man, that's so fun, right? I'm sorry, Josh. I know you want to ask him a ton of questions.
Y'all did
but-
a great job. It was fun. If anybody wonders about the mentality of football players, I'm just going to say, dudes are going to be dudes, right? What are the important things? We rank the food at the hotel.
And
all
have
right?
fun.
That's what guys do. This is what
Right.
we do. We are simple creatures. We are simple human beings. We don't need a lot. How good is the food at the damn hotel? That's what matters.
By the
I
way,
just
they
love
have.
that. I love that.
If you're, I know you're thinking about, you have to ask the boss, make sure it's okay. But thinking about going to Mobile, there's a good cigar place in the mall there that has it's solid. They have some good shit. And if you kind of hint around that you're looking for some Cubans, they might slip you a little something. I'm just saying.
So Schultz actually put me on to one of those places. It might be the same place when he was living out there, and we met downtown and kind of told me about it. But
good stuff.
I already got the green light. It's really kind of up to me. It's going to come down to work and kid schedule. So it's not a no, not a yes. I told Kevin that I'd make a decision by the end of the week. So I don't know. There might be a flag flying out there for Raging Review. If there is, obviously anybody here is welcome to come and visit. I'm going to bring some food and some stuff. It's going to be like a mini version of what we do at the field. So be looking out for that announcement, because if I decide to, I will announce it so everybody can come and hang out.
So for the other boys here, and especially for the people who are watching, somebody brought up, I think it was Longclaw, good dude, said, hey, why don't you guys do a stream during the game? And I'm like, it kind of timing is weird, and some people see it earlier and whatever. But now I'm starting to kind of consider it. I don't know, KG, what you have planned. I assume Jerry's not here, so I'm assuming Jerry's on the same thing as me, because we're going to be watching from home. Lane, you're like me. We have no life, so you'll probably be watching as well. Would you guys want to do a live stream of the game, of us watching the game? Now, obviously, we cannot stream the game itself, but we could still sit here and do a Kevin Foote type of thing and get pissed off and get happy. But we going to have to figure out a way to do it, because freaking Lane always ruins it for everybody.
No,
We're going to have to have one person in charge of saying what happens. But guys, comment, do we want to have that? I'm down for it. I think that would be a lot of fun, and we could wrap that into the post game after. Would you guys be down for that?
Oh, I mean, it's going to be on a Wednesday, which is the same night as every show we do. So
Right.
it wouldn't be hard to, logistics wise to get done. The problem is that all 4 of our streams would have to be synced up to where we're reacting at the same time. That's the problem, because whenever Kevin Foote and them do a live stream,
I know
they're in the same room together, watching the same TV, reacting at the same time. All 4 of us would have to be on cue. Otherwise, there's no point in doing it.
But I think we choose one person. Don't we? Shouldn't we choose one person to be like the lead? So they're the one that gives the first reaction and everybody tries to hold it in. I don't know.
That's up to you. I'm just saying there are some logistical things that you have to overcome.
Dude,
either way, let the people know. Either way, we doing a post-game show, a postseason send-off, that kind of thing. I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. If we want to go live, we'll announce it. But there are some logistical factors that we have to consider.
Dude, I'm gonna take a lot of shots that night. I think it'd be a lot of fun, man. I think we figure it out as we go. Nobody really cares, right? They're gonna be watching the game anyway. I don't know. I'm probably just going to do it and then see what happens. Maybe we figure it out and time it at the same time on our.
And if you do it, I'll be here.
What if one of us took a screen share? Like I have Hulu, when y'all maybe have Hulu, ESPN, and we'll put the screen, or we can't stream it, can we?
Can't stream it here, no.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I didn't think about that, because that would be a way we
can
could
stream it as long as it's 30-second delayed. That's the deal with Learfield.
Really?
But here's
well, Learfield, but not ESPN, because it's going to be a national game.
It's contracted through Learfield to UL. So as long as you're 30-second delayed, you can stream it and it won't get taken down. I've already confirmed that like 10 times.
The only thing is though, is like with the Hulu and the YouTube TV. I mean, is that already delayed by default behind the actual live? So I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the timing.
We just have to shut down the comments because everybody sees it before we do. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out before next week. But I'm totally down to do it. If it's a shit show, who cares? Post games are crazy.
Let's confirm if we can do the 30-second. We'll even do 45 to be safe. Figure out if that's like a legit thing, and then maybe we could set it up in a box here and watch the game all 4 of us together, and we'll react in real time.
There you go, Daryl Longclaw. He's the man who put it in my head, and I'm like, we can't do that. Well, maybe we can. So
let's figure it out then.
Yeah, let's just let's try it and see what happens, boys. That was a lot of fun with Caden, but we do have to get into. I mean, we're already almost an hour and a half into it. We haven't even talked about the bowl game. So let's get into that. Before we do, I do want to tease what I have coming out very soon with the Delaware Blue Hens. We even talk about what the hell a blue hen is and if you can eat it, because those are the things our fans want to know. But I want to preview a behind enemy lines that we have coming up. We'll do it tomorrow night at 7:30, but I know a lot of you guys don't want to sit through a whole interview tonight. You want to hear from us because we're awesome. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and give you a quick preview of our behind enemy lines for the Blue Hens. From an offensive standpoint, you guys are a fast-paced team. You like to spread the ball around. However, the quarterback, Nick Minicucci, he scored 10 touchdowns on the year with his legs. Tell us a little bit about Nick and his quarterback style and really what we can expect from the Delaware offense this week.
He became the leading passer in Conference USA this year. Like, he just really owned the moment. He's been prepared for it. He's had 2 years to prepare for coming off the bench. You said rushing touchdowns. I wouldn't say, like, when you think of a dual threat runner, he's not somebody that they're going to run a lot of options where he can be shifty. I always say he's not an east-west runner where you're really worried about him breaking. He's more of a north-south guy. As you said earlier, this team plays fast. Like, they as soon as that play's done, they're running up-tempo, no huddle offense. They have some receivers that do a little bit, as you can see, Jakari Kelly, number 9, Jake Thaw, number 15. And Donovan Lewis, number 87. I'd even have to add number 0, Max Patterson, because this is going to be his final game of his collegiate career, transfer from Rutgers coming in. I would say their interior of their offensive line is like where their bread and butter is. Their center, Stephen Nabosky, was All-Conference USA second team. Fenton Brose, their left guard, was All-Conference USA first team. Brose started on the defensive line and transitioned. Basically, he played some tackle. He even started the year as center when Nabosky was out the first couple of games. Yeah, I would say, so when you brought up earlier, Lane, that the 3-3-5 defense, KT Say is like the true, like, I would say the center fielder of the defense. He's that middle, like, 3 of the 3-3. I guess I would say the middle three of that five of the two corners and the three safeties. He's kind of the center fielder. They give him basically free reign. Like, read the quarterback, read the coverage, read the offensive routes, and he had 4 picks in 2020, 4 at FCS, and has had 3 this year. I would say another defensive back to watch out for is definitely Nate Evans, a cornerback. He's an NC State transfer. He also has 2 interceptions on the year. I would say that he's had a really strong year, and this is going to be his last year of eligibility as well. So it's tough to say sometimes, because you think about, as we talked about, sometimes you get beat over the top, but like individually, these guys have been strong all year, but sometimes it leaks through. I'd say mobile quarterbacks is definitely an issue with this offense, because you think, like we talked about, sometimes you get beat over the top, but if you get too focused on that, sometimes you forget about the quarterback can actually step out and pick up yards himself, and that adds a different element of adding a spy to the defense. And I know Louisiana has a pair of great running backs as well. So I think it adds a new element to the offense to be prepared for. I'm definitely concerned about that.
Rage and Review, made by the fans, for the fans.
What a great voiceover, man. He actually did the Ford pickup truck commercials, which is pretty impressive, honestly. So good dude. I wish we need to get him to do more stuff. But let's get into the Delaware Blue Hens preview. We have a lot to talk about. The Delaware Blue Hens, 6-6 on the season, 4-4 in Conference USA, coached by Ryan McCarty in his 4th season as head coach. Some of their big wins on the season against UConn. They got a win over Louisiana Tech. I don't know if you consider that a big win, but for us, it's always a win when Tech loses. And they ended the season with a big win over UTEP, 61-31. UTEP, guys, they're just an awful football team, but you still got to give it to the Delaware Blue Hens, as they do have a legitimate quarterback and can do some damage on offense. And speaking of offense, let's turn it over to Coach Des KG. Tell us a little bit about the Blue Hens offense that we will face next week.
Blue Hens offense. They're going to be led by offensive coordinator Terrence Archer. He's been there for 3 or 4 years. Like you mentioned in the little teaser there, they run a spread. It is a fast tempo, and it is very pass heavy. They're led by their guy, Nick Minicucci. He's a junior. He is 5th in the country in passing yards, just north of 3,500. He has a 63 completion percentage, 22 touchdowns, 7 picks. But here's the good thing, has been sacked 25 times this season. So there is a way to get to him, but I'm going to get to his rushing abilities in a second. They have 2 running backs that are basically like R2 running backs. They split time. It's 1A and 1B. You'll see senior Joe Silver, 105 carries. He leads the team with 536 yards on the ground, and he has 4 touchdowns. You'll also see sophomore Byron Ellison Jr., he has 108 carries, which leads the team, 422 on the ground, and he also has 4 touchdowns. But like I just mentioned, junior quarterback Nick Minicucci, he has 106 carries on the team. Now, he only has 231 yards rushing, but he has 10 touchdowns on the ground, which leads the team. So this is a man that not only is top 5 in the country in passing yardage, he also has double-digit rushing touchdowns. So if you can find a way to stop him, the odds of winning that bowl game are really good. Let's talk about their receivers. I'm going to give you their top 2 because you're about to see how loaded this room is. If I had to roll through this list of receivers that were notable, we would be here for another hour. But their top 2 is going to be senior Kyrie Duplessis. He's their main slot receiver, 57 catches on the year, 782 yards, and leads the team with 5 touchdowns. He actually leads in yards as well. Their main outside guy is sophomore Sean Wilson. He has 58 catches on the season, which leads the team, 769 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But guys, get this. They have 10 pass catchers on their team, whether it be wide receivers, whether it be running backs, whether it be tight ends. They have 10 pass catchers on their team with over 10 receptions, with over 150 yards, and with at least 1 receiving touchdown. They have 10 of them on their ball club. Just for emphasis, they have 2 other guys other than the 2 I named. They have 2 guys that have 30-plus catches, and then another 3 that have 20-plus catches. So, I mean, they're loaded with talent. I want to say there's 2 guys with 300-yard games. There's, 3 more with 200-yard games. So bottom line, pass-heavy offense, you're going to see it. They can go to any 10 of these guys and be successful through the air. But the 2 that I named is the 2 most notable, day one starters on that receiving core. Now, I will give you their tight end, senior Elijah Sessoms. He had 22 catches on the year, 190 yards and 2 touchdowns. So they do utilize the tight end as well. You may see a little bit of him. Total offense, they're ranked number 42 in the country, 418 yards per game. Passing offense is ranked top 8 in the country. Actually, they are number 8, 302 yards per game. Rushing offense is where they struggle a little bit. Although they have a dual-headed monster, being that they're so pass-heavy, they don't really run the ball as much. Rushing offense is ranked 118th in the country with only 116 yards per game, but they are ranked 50th in scoring, averaging 30 points per game, which is basically around where the Cajuns have been sitting during this winning streak. So we're going to be challenged in this game, make no mistake about it. We talked about it way early in the show. Delaware's defense is really porous, and we feel like we're going to take advantage in some spots. Caden said it the best, and I love that I heard him say it. The goal for us is controlling the clock, controlling the ground game, and keeping this high-powered, pass-heavy offense off the field. A couple of notable things for this Delaware offense, though. They have 2 guys that were first-team CUSA, wide receiver Kyrie Duplessis, offensive lineman Fenton Brose, second team quarterback Nick Menacucci, which is baffling to me, being that he's top 5 in the country in passing yards, but he made second team CUSA, and then offensive lineman Steven Dombrowski, and then third team wide receiver Sean Wilson, and offensive lineman Anwar O'Neal. So that's a couple of their guys that made CUSA's conference teams. As we mentioned, this is Delaware's first FBS Bowl appearance. Unfortunately for us, we had bad experiences last time we played a team, and I'm sure we'll get to it in a little bit. Last time we played a team making their first FBS Bowl appearance, we did everything to shoot ourselves in the foot and lose that game. It still haunts me to this day. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit later. But weaknesses of this ball club, and then I'll turn it over back to you, Nick. Weaknesses of this offense, they struggle with short yardage plays because they are so pass heavy. They want to go to the air. Anytime they get in 3rd and shorts or goal lines, they don't have that run game to lean on, so it makes it tough for them to move the ball. But yeah, they're explosive. If you give them a fresh set of downs, 1st and 10 or a 2nd and 1, they're just going to go all out and burn you that way. But you get them into some 3rd and shorts or 3rd and mediums, some goal line stuff, it gets a little tougher for them. And then lastly, like I mentioned earlier, sacks allowed. They have given up 25 sacks on the season with Menacucci under center. So there is ways to get to him, but he's tricky because he's a dual threat. He can beat you both ways. You just got to contain with your rush, maintain your edges, and hopefully, if you make them one-dimensional, which they kind of have been this season, if you make them one-dimensional and flush him out the pocket and make him make some throws that he doesn't want to make, maybe good things can happen, especially when you got guys like Brent Jordan, who I believe got snubbed in the Sun Belt Conference selections. And then you got, of course, Tyree Skipper coming back fresh off his reinstation, if that's even a word, but we're glad to have Skip back, certainly. And lastly, Jaden Duggar, one last time. I know he watches this show. Want to give a shout out to my boy. But that's a look at the Delaware Blue Hen offense.
A couple of things that I took away, and again, thanks to Bryce Leslie, that was the founder of the Feathers and Field Goals podcast. He is the official podcast for the Delaware Blue Hens. But Bryce, touched upon a couple of things which I noticed. I mean, when you look at their wide receiver room, Duplessis played at Coastal Carolina, didn't get a whole lot of attention there or playing time, and all the dude does is comes over to Delaware, and like you said, 755 yards and 5 touchdowns. They also have a Michigan transfer, Rutgers transfer, West Virginia transfer, but where they do a lot of their damage is they've got 3 slot receivers, and Donovan Lewis kind of, he's an outside receiver, but he plays a slot a lot as well. I mean, that's 50% of their offense is going to be in the slot receiver position. So, while they don't get the short yardage plays, those slot receivers make things happen. And then of course, you got Sean Wilson as a third on the outside. All things you have to look out for. Menacucci is, look, you talked about his ability to air it out. what scares me about their offense is they're fast paced. And again, we want to slow the game down. We want to control the time of possession. But when you have a fast paced offense, that keeps you back on your heels a little bit. And, Minicucci has 346 yards of rushing and 10 touchdowns with his legs. However, as mentioned by our boy Bryce, he's not an east-west runner. He's not a lunch. He's not going to try to stretch out the defense. He wants to run it straight north-south. So we're really going to have to depend on that interior defense to try to contain him in the running game, stack the box a little bit. But also, again, when you have that talent that can hit you on the outside, but also the slot receivers, you got to respect that as well. So we're going to see what happens.
Caden's comp of Delaware to Texas State was actually pretty damn good.
When he said that, I think hallelujah.
That is a very good comp. And honestly, if we play them relatively the same as we played Texas State in the first half, I believe we can have some success in this game, because if you guys remember, we scored on virtually every drive in the first half against Texas State. We took the most of our opportunities. We had a great run game. We had a very balanced passing attack off of that, and we just found a way to score points, whether it was getting in the end zone or kicking field goals. If you can mimic that, and if Caden really believes that that's a favorable comp, which, by the way, I do too. I mean, if that's kind of what we're basing this game off of, I think we can have some success. But yes, bottom line is going to come down to how the defense, the Cajun defense, responds to the middle of the field, defending the middle of the field. They have some success on the outside. They're going to be explosive, but it really will come down. And you made a great point. They do have 3 capable slot receivers and a quarterback that likes to run up the middle. So if the middle of the field is porous, it could be a very long night for the Cajuns.
Couple of other things before I turn it over to you, Jerry, with the defensive preview. Tight end, they've got, as you said, Sessoms. However, Widoff, who is their second leading tight end, he's their blocker. He's their big guy on the line. He's not playing this game. So that's going to be somewhat of something to watch, I suppose. And their O-line doesn't have a lot of depth that they depend on because they're a fast-paced offense. They rely on 6 guys. They know they're 6 guys. They rotate them as needed. However, because of a fast-paced offense, they don't need to get into depth because they're not trying to run the clock out, switch out guys. So it'll be interesting to watch if they have injuries or they get into a situation where the Cajuns are forcing them to play a slower pace. We'll see how that plays out. But so far, the entire season, they've been able to rely on 6 offensive linemen for the entire season. We'll see how that plays out because they don't have a lot of depth with what we know as far as how they can play. They have not played those guys yet throughout this season. Let's turn over to defense. Jerry, tell us about the Blue Hens defense.
Yeah, so the Blue Hens defense, a little bit opposite of what Cole just described on the offensive side. Their defense really, there's nothing that pops out or stands out. They actually have a defense that's, I would say, I'm not going to call them weak, but I don't think they're very average. They're not that good. If you look at their rankings, they're pretty low. I like that comparison to Texas State because I do think our offense can score on them. This is going to be a type of defense you play against where you just can't make self-inflicted mistakes. So let's talk a little bit about the defense. Delaware Blue Hens, the defense is coached by defensive coordinator Manny Rojas. It's his 6th season at Delaware, I believe since 2020. Delaware does run a 3-3-5 scheme, very dependable on their secondary and much dependable on their linebacking core. Looking at these rankings, I'll give you all some stats on their rankings. They are 100th nationally in total defense, allowing 411 yards per game, 6 yards per play, which is actually pretty beneficial to the Cajun offense in the last 4 weeks, considering that we've moved the ball pretty well in our 4-game win streak. In rush defense, they are 88th nationally. They allow 164 yards per game, 4.75 yards per carry, and they've allowed 25 rushing touchdowns. Very similar to ULM, believe it or not, in that ranking. I believe ULM was around that area before we played them a few weeks ago. Passing yards allowed, Delaware, they're 113 nationally, 113th in passing yards allowed. They allowed 246.8 yards per game, and that is also, I believe it's 12.14 yards per pass. So this is an opportunity for guys like Shelton Sampson and Rob Williams, to get get their feet rolling, and hopefully we have some good pass protection, which I've seen over the last couple weeks. This is an opportunity for Lunch to not just show off his feet, but show off his throwing ability. He's going to have some opportunities there. They also rank 88 nationally in third down defense. They allow a 41% conversion rate. Once again, that favors the Cajuns. Also, 119th nationally in scoring defense, allowing 32.5 points a game. I'm looking my chops at this, guys, right? Cajuns, last 4 games, have averaged 34 points against some defenses, not as low ranked, but similar defenses in conference. So that is a stat that stuck out to me, especially considering, no disrespect to the Conference USA, but I'm sure they have done that against a few offenses that isn't as high power or wasn't clicking as much as Louisiana is right now. They're 120th nationally in red zone defense. That teams have an 89.4% conversion rate in the red zone. Teams have been in the red zone 47 times this season against the Blue Hen defense and have scored 42 out of those times. 28 of those times coming from touchdowns, 14 of those coming from field goals. So if the Cajuns can get in the red zone, hopefully they can get some points off of that. So just get in the red zone for some scoring opportunities. Now, where they actually are pretty good is tackles for loss. They're 29th nationally in tackles per loss per game. They average 6 tackles per loss, or 6 tackles per game that result in a loss. They have 75 overall this year, tackles for loss per game. So hopefully our offensive line, I know we've been banged up, but that is an opportunity for our offensive line to have to be ready, because they can hit you in the backfield, especially with our running game. They are 67th nationally in sacks per game. They have 24 sacks total on the year, averaging a little more than 2 sacks per game. And hopefully that means Lunch will have to kind of move around a little bit when he's going back to pass. They do know how to get in the backfield. That kind of coincides with their tackles for loss. Their defense, they're at least in the 3-3-5, whether it's a blitz package or their 3-down linemen, they can get in the backfield pretty well. So that is one advantage that they have. If the Cajun offense can get past that and get to the second level, that's where the Cajun offense can be a little dangerous. So that opens up some opportunities for some big plays. Like I mentioned before, Delaware does give up a lot of points. I know I mentioned it was 32 points or 32.5 points per game. In Conference USA, they've given up 31 points per game. And of course, in Conference USA, they have a 6-6 overall record, 4-4 in conference. And those 31 points kind of played a role in that, giving up that many per game. And they've only given up less than 20 points twice this year, one of which was against Delaware State, and the other was against FIU. Both turned into wins. So the Cajuns have opportunities to score here, guys. I mean, I'm looking at these stats and looking at the way the Cajun offense is played. There's a lot of opportunity. Key players, just to name a few: linebacker Gavin Mole. He's a junior, 6 foot, 237 pounds. He leads the team in tackles. He has 103 tackles on the year, 45 solo tackles, 6.5 tackles, or 6.5 tackles for loss. So he's kind of that ace in the hole on defense. We're gonna have to kind of key in on him a little bit, make sure he doesn't get A, to our backfield, and B, to our running backs. You kind of keep him, you kind of protect our run game and our quarterback from him. I think our offense has a good opportunity to do some great things. Also in the secondary, KTC, he's a safety, junior, 6'2", 190 pounds. He's got 84 tackles on the year. He's got 5.5 tackles for loss and also 3 interceptions. So I know up top, we're going to kind of keep an eye on him to make sure that he's not in the vicinity, or if we can find a way to be a little more innovative against him, because he's a ball hawk. He's a ball hawk, and he can make some tackles. Also at safety, number 2, Mysone Pollard. He's a senior, 6'2", 187, 64 tackles, 31 of those solos, 2.5 tackles for loss, and 4 interceptions. So their secondary is pretty good. They've had a few picks up top. They've been able to kind of stall some drives. So even though they've given up a lot on defense, they have made some plays in certain opportunities. So we're going to have to be very smart in our passing attack and maybe attack the boundary / flat a little bit more to our receiving core. You go down the middle on these guys, don't underestimate them. They can make some plays and pick you off a few times when you have 7 combined interceptions between KT and Mysone. Also in the defensive line, defensive tackle Keyshawn Hunter, senior, 6 foot, 280 pounds. He's got 27 tackles, 6 tackles for losses, and 3 sacks. Also rounding out the defensive line, Trey Scott, the third defensive tackle, sophomore, 6'4", 265. He's got 18 tackles and 3.5 tackles for loss with 3 sacks. And, of course, I had to add a cornerback, their key cornerback, number 1, Nate Evans, senior, 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's got 33 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 2 interceptions, and 7 pass breakups. So, like I said, this defense overall, very similar to ULM. They can make stops when it matters, but if you can kind of open up the playbook a little bit, spread the field out like we've been doing, we got a shot to do a lot of things that can actually benefit us. Like I said, they give up a lot of points, but at the same time, guys like KTC and Mysone Pollard, you want to be very careful with the passing game because they do have some guys that can make plays. But overall, again, very opposite of their offense. Their offense is high scoring. The defense has been giving up a lot of points, which is why if you look at their schedule, believe it or not, I mean, I'm just rounding out some of these scores. They go beat UTEP. Yes, they gave up 31 points. They scored 61. A 30-point win, 61-31. You know, they beat Louisiana Tech by 1 point, 25-24. They go to Liberty. They hang 30 on them, but they give up 59. Same thing with Jacksonville State. They scored 25. They gave up 38. And then they beat UConn, which is probably their biggest win of the year in Delaware, at Delaware Stadium, 44-41 in overtime. So a lot of these scores, even though they give up a lot of points, it's one of those situations where how much is their offense clicking? They're really very well known to get into a shootout. But at the same time, I do think on their defensive side, I think we can score some points. Again, 34 points in the last 4 weeks for the Louisiana offense. Got to keep that mojo going and have a shot. But yeah, I expect this to be a pretty high scoring game for both teams. But I do think the Cajun offense has a lot of opportunity against this defense.
Keyshawn Hunter is a beast. I saw him play against Tech, and he's really, really good. The thing about their defensive line, though, is they have a lot of depth, man, and they have a lot of experience. That's the thing. Senior, grad, student, senior, grad, senior, lots of experience, lots of depth there on their defensive line. Their linebacker core, you know, they're going to be solid. The thing that really impresses me about the defensive backs, though, is they've got 10 interceptions among 4 players. So, I think you have their weakness is actually beating them over the top, but I think teams try too hard to beat them over the top, and that's where you have some of those interceptions come in. So, we'll see how that plays out against the Blue Hens next week. But I get that for us, Delaware is not a sexy opponent. We don't know a whole lot about them. They're Conference USA, but they're a lot like us in a lot of ways. So I just feel like this is going to be a closer game than we think, or, you know, just looking at it from an outsider perspective, going Delaware, who the hell are they? We should kick their ass. That is not the case with these guys. And I don't gaslight when it comes to opponents. You know me. When I think we're going to kick an opponent's ass, I'm going to say it. This is not the case with Delaware. So we have got to be careful when we, take on the Blue Hens next week. But I will hopefully be confident. I don't know if that's saying it right, that the Cajuns will be prepared to take on Delaware next week. Great wrap up for you guys. Great rundown from you guys. I appreciate it. One thing I want to go around the horn. I'll start with you, Lane, because you really haven't talked in a while, so I want to hear your voice. Tyree Skipper, the one thing that the commissioner did right this week, thank God. Thank you for doing something right in the past, few weeks and having some presence across the entire Sun Belt Conference. But I do want to ask you, Lane, your thoughts on Tyree coming back. I think that's going to be huge, especially with losing Fitzgerald West Jr. I don't know what that's going to do to our offensive line, but I know getting Tyree back is going to be a huge lift for our defense. Your thoughts on his impact this week?
Yeah, I think he'll have a big impact on the game. After not playing for the last couple of weeks, I was kind of surprised that they reinstated him just because they said he was already out for the season. So I don't know if we did a late a late reversal on that or what happened with that, but I'm glad to see he's back. And like Caden mentioned, he's a big leader on the defense, so I feel like his leadership alone will help the defense next week.
I can tell you exactly what happened. Keith Gill in the Sunbelt front office said, you know what, this would be a perfect time for us to, make ourselves look good. We're going to give Louisiana one of their best defensive backs back against a very powerful passing offense. Because one, beating Delaware boosts the conference. You obviously don't want to lose a bowl game. You want to win the bowl game, makes the conference look good. You want to beat a CUSA opponent, makes the conference look good. So they got to pat themselves on the back twice, because now you look good because you reinstated a player that probably shouldn't have been suspended for bowl participation anyway. So reinstating him makes you look good. And then at the same time, you're doubling down because with him being back on the field, the Cajuns have a better shot to win the game. That's what happened. I don't care what anybody tells me. That's exactly what happened.
By the way, apologies to Fitz. I said your name. It's Bryant Williams. I'm terrible with names, bro. Bryant Williams is, declared for the portal. He's not going to be available on the O-line. Funny story. Somebody in here asked, is Caden going to move to left tackle? That might happen because we have no depth on the O-line right now, but it's not Fitz. Sorry, Dougie. Didn't mean to freak you out there. I just got names screwed up a little bit. Jerry, any thoughts on our boy coming back?
Much needed. I mean, when you have a high-powered offense like that can throw the football, and you've got a quarterback that can just take off at any time, you need a ball hawk like Skip to be there, and that's what he's been all season. And it's a story of redemption, man. He's got a chance to redeem himself in this bowl game. He gets a second chance. I want to see what he can do with a second chance. It's his last game as a Cajun, right? He got reinstated, one more game putting on that Louisiana uniform. Let's see if he takes advantage of it and runs with it. And maybe he may play the game of his life on next Wednesday night. But very happy about it because of that offense. Cole's theory doesn't seem too far-fetched. It doesn't seem too far-fetched when it comes to the whole conference thing, especially in the conversation of the whole G5, P4, or G6, P4 conversation. Look, at the end of the day, when it comes to the G6, we're kind of fighting for those bragging rights against the other G6 conferences. One thing that I don't know if any of you mentioned, look, the Mountain West has a perception of usually having more money and being better than the Sun Belt. Well, we just one-upped them having a playoff team in the CFP. So I think that might have something to do with it too, a little bit of bragging rights over your fellow G6 conference mate. So hopefully, like I said, Skip needs to take advantage of it, run with it, play the game of his life, and finish strong.
Totally agree. Real quick around the horn, start with you, KG. One thing that the Cajuns have to do this week or next week to get the dub.
Execute special teams. Tony Sterner has to have a very strong game. And one more name that I wanted to name before we got off this podcast, Jacorian Norris. Look for that young man every time he puts his hands on the football to take it to the house. If he can run it back like he did against ULM, anywhere on the field, if you give him one block, he's going to find the lane. And whether he can get it back to the 40, the 50, it doesn't matter. Just get this offense in good field position. I mean, if you want to take it to the house, by all means, do it. But bottom line, special teams, and that starts with Tony Sterner and Jacorian Norris.
All right, Lane, one thing we have to do to win next week.
Run the damn ball and control the clock.
I 100% agree with you there. Jerry, one thing we got to do, bud.
Throw off their tempo on offense, their fast-paced offense. You stall their drives like you did against Arkansas State. I think we'll be okay based on their defense.
All right, let's talk about one more fun thing before we call it a night. Well, a couple more things. Jerry, I know we want to talk about basketball.
We lost again. Well, okay, there we go.
We played? When?
Saturday against
UNC.
Wilmington.
I don't care.
Yeah,
whatever. We lost. I don't want to talk about this tonight. I want to talk about football. Okay, so let's talk about KG, I'm sorry. The pay cut. So let's talk about the athletic director. And I really want Josh to come back. I know he stepped away from a bit, but I want him to come back to talk about this. Brian Maggart's taking a 15% pay cut because of the budget situation at UL. Ramesh came in. He has to make difficult decisions. A lot of people getting laid off. a lot of folks retiring, etc. One of those things, again, is a temporary pay cut of 15% to Maggard, which I still think makes him the second highest paid employee at the university. Now, when you say, oh, but Dez is making this amount of money, Dez is getting paid by the RCAF. He's getting paid by the Athletic Foundation. He's getting paid a little by the university, but most of his salary comes from the foundation. So that does not count. When you go back and you look at the salaries of the university, number one, and this is going back to 2024, so it may be updated, but number one was T. Joe, number two was Brian Maggard. I don't want to get into how he got to the salary he got to because that's all political and we don't have time for that today, but do want to ask you guys, your thoughts on the 15% pay cut. And look, I'm going to be honest. Does Maggard stick around? I mean, Maggard has done some really good things as far as he's made a couple of good hires, some not so great hires. He has done really, really well with the master plan as far as building great stadiums. I think Our Lady of Lourdes is great. We still have more work to do. He's doing that. We have the new baseball stadium, which is amazing. But I guess my question to you guys is 15% pay cut. Does that even matter at this point? And do you think he sticks around? Because you have to think it's not only 15% pay cut, the budget's getting cut as well by a pretty hefty amount. He wanted $40 million. He ain't going to see anywhere close to $40 million next season. Jerry, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on the situation, the pay cut. Does he stick around or is he looking for the next thing based on everything that I told you that's kind of working against him right now?
I think it all depends on a timeline. I'm not sure. Like, I can't think for him. I don't.
Of course not. But speculation, right? Yeah.
Yeah, speculate. I mean, if I were to guess, I mean, I would say he would stick around. It just depends on the situation because everything's fluid right now, guys. I mean, we discovered this stuff in the summertime with the budget cuts. Then we cut athletics by a little bit. Well, what about the next fiscal year? What's that going to look like? What's it going to look like in the next 6 months? I mean, Dr. Ramesh just took over as president. Are they going to, is he going to stay as the permanent president? Are they doing that? They're doing the president search. What's going to happen with that? What if they hire a new president? What's the new president's agenda look like? How is the new president going to determine how the budget works? So right now, I think everything's still fluid. I mean, I'll say this. I don't know if we can take any more of a budget cut in athletics than we have. And I think there's probably more to come. And at that point, regardless of where we are, I think it all depends at that point if Dr. Maggard wants to face that challenge, especially being here for as long as he has and has done all those things he's done with the facility improvements and pretty much restructuring athletics since he got in 2017. So it's almost like, I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. It was a different topic, but like, do you come in with a budget cut? You have to start over. And the question is, would you want to start over if that budget cut comes in? Because it's a brand new game plan from there. And then you have to adapt to that. So I don't know. I really couldn't tell you, man. It's a tough question. And, on top of that, you got to include NIL. You got to include the evolving door of college athletics as a whole. There's so many different things that are changing on top of the budget cut. So in a year from now, I have no idea. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if he stays. I don't know. It's a tough question because it's just there's so many changes going on right now. It's really fluid by the day.
I'm about to get pissed off. And the reason I'm about to get pissed off is the reason the reason athletics is taking a cut in budget is because we cannot freaking raise money. That's the problem. We're cutting athletics because they should be raising the money that we're being cut by. And there has been, in my opinion, and thank you, Josh, for coming back because I want to get your take on this. My opinion in this is we should not be in the position to be cut in athletics because we should be raising enough money to cover that portion that is being cut. We have made, in my opinion, poor decisions or have given zero effort into reaching out to the community. We say it until we're blue. We bang down the doors. We stomp our feet and we still have the same results because we try something. Our town, our school, or whatever it was. I don't even remember. It's been so long. Try that for 6 months. Oh, that didn't work. We'll move on to the next thing. Never heard of it again. We spend our time doing this stuff, and then we forget about it. And then when the community comes out and says we need a mascot, no, you don't. It's like the gaslighting that ESPN's doing. It's like they're trying to tell us what we want as fans, and we're telling you, no, we don't want that. No, you do. I am so frustrated that we're post Billy Napier, post CFP top 25 2 years in a row, and we're still having conversations about why we can't raise money from the community, Jerry. And I'm going to give you your final thought on this before I go to Josh, but I'm tired of having this conversation. I don't care who's leading the athletic department, but if you're the second most paid person in the entire university and we get cut, and we're having a conversation like, well, we can't possibly make up that money. What have we been doing? What have we been doing?
The focus has been on the stadium over the last 2 or 3 years. And the problem is it's ventured away from the things that mattered, like to your point about the budget. I mean, I think KATC posted the financial numbers. Josh, you and I have talked excessively about it. And when you see the revenue at around 11.7 million on a 40-something million dollar budget, because guys, most people don't know this, 16 or 17 million of it comes from auxiliaries at the university, which include parking and transit, student housing, a lot of income that comes from fees on campus that is given to athletics. Now, that doesn't make us different from other schools because other schools do it and other schools have student fees that we don't. But here's where I come in and say, okay, yes, we don't have control over the fact that we can't raise. Let me rewind. I understand that other schools do it, but the fact of the matter is if we're producing debt, right, which the foundation usually pays back, right? It's against state law to run a deficit, which is why I think some of the articles are a little disheartening when they say that. But at the same time, you can make up for it by raising the difference in that money. So you're not dealing with the deficits and having to pay it back through the foundation. I think one of the biggest issues that I have in all of this is, to your point, Nick, is when people say, you know, when the fans are telling you what they want, what you should do is listen and not talk back, right? If you have a business and the customer is saying, this is what we want, this is what it will take for us to spend money on your business, you don't talk back to them. You say, okay, let's adjust to it. And I think that's been the disconnect. And what is compounded is the financial numbers come out, and that where I come in, and Josh, I've told you this, is nobody should be talking back to us based on those financials. We're telling you this is how you can improve your financials. We're telling you how we will pay for certain things and come to your venues and come to your events. But yet we still get the pushback of, well, you need to realize and you need to understand. No. I'm your customer. It's your job to convince me to come to your venue. So I think with all of that being said, I think right now the number one focus should be is to close that deficit, close that margin, and find ways to fundraise more. So you're not worried about all of this every year. We're not having articles coming out about deficits and all this stuff because all college athletics run deficits, but you still have to, you can't just settle and say, well, everybody does it, so it's okay. No, it's not okay. You know, if everybody decided.
That is the problem, Jerry. Yeah, it's okay. We're in Lafayette. We can't do it. If you can do it, excuse my French, in bumfuck Mississippi and raise $500,000 in NIL money in 2 years, and we can't do a quarter of that, the problem is not with the budget cut. The problem is that you are not making the right effort to raise the money, because it's comfortable to sit back and say, well, it's the consumer. It's not as easy to say it's me. I'm not doing a good job. Coach Des, want to go to you real quick? We'll circle back to you, Jerry, but I'll go to you and then we'll go to Josh.
Like I said earlier in the show, if you were running a $30 to $40 million deficit and winning championships, it'd be a lot more palatable for the people in Lafayette. But you're running this deficit, and it was the worst athletic year in recent history. Secondly, when the budget came out months ago, the writing was on the wall then. Your original question was, does Maggard stick around? Very bluntly, no. I was fully expecting him after this athletic season ends or athletic year ends after baseball season. I do not expect Brian Maggard to be the athletic director of the University of Louisiana. Now, I want to preface all of this by saying me and my wife have met Dr. Maggard. He's a really joy to be around. He's very nice. That's fine. But I don't want to get on that narrative of, well, he's nice, let's give him some slack. You're put in a $500,000 position to perform. And if you're running a smaller university like the University of Louisiana's athletic department, we're expecting you not to run it into a $30 to $40 million deficit and run it in the ground. Right? So bottom line, yes, I don't expect them to be here. And now I'm going to talk about the administration as a whole. It's been very off-putting since day one. And what I mean by that is it's a good old boys club. If you're not a part, it's the haves and the have-nots. If you're not a part of it, they don't care about you. They do not care about the casual or sometimes even the diehard fan. They barely care about their corporate sponsors. They push them off until they complain enough to where they have to do something to kiss their ass, whether it be on TV or social media or what have you, just to get back in their good graces. But don't get me started on that. So I'm at the point now where I would be okay with a complete reset of this administration. Hey, thank you for all you've done. Thank you for building these great stadiums, and you have had some really good hires. We are in a much better athletic position than we were with Scott Farmer. I'm not saying that. I can criticize you and thank you for what you did here while you were here. But the bottom line, it's like Loomis, right, with the Saints. You won me a Super Bowl, but since then we fell off a fucking cliff. At what point do you get fired? And that's where I am now with this administration.
Lane, you're going to have a lot of editing to do, buddy. Let's go to you, Josh. I know you got thoughts. Tonight's the night for feelings. What you feeling?
Well, just a couple of points on this. Scott Farmer got fired for lying to donors and lying to administrators. He said that he had the money to start building the stadium. He didn't raise the money. Actually, he raised some of the money and then it got spent on other things, but that's a whole other conversation. So it cost us a couple $1 million on a bridge loan. He got fired for that. That is a drop in the bucket compared to the $25 million in debt Brian Maggard has racked up as the athletic director of this school. And don't even get me started. I'm going to be direct because he is solely and only responsible for the athletic budget being the way that it is. If y'all want to say that T. Joe was asleep at the wheel the last 4 years, we can have that conversation. But who was driving while T. Joe was asleep at the wheel? It was the vice president of intercollegiate athletics, Dr. Brian freaking Maggard. And by the way, $100,000 a year to do what? Put us in the biggest hole we've ever been in athletics in this entire school's, in the institution's history? $500,000 for that? I've been trying to tell y'all about this guy. And it's hard to be very direct when he's making hires that are popular, when softball was winning, when baseball was winning. Well, now that all that's gone, everybody wants to start asking questions. I was red-pilled on Maggard 3 years ago. And then having to deal with him behind the scenes, it's kind of further solidified my opinion of him as a leader. The things that have gone on inside of that building over the last year and a half, and I mean, that's just talking about like things that we know for a fact, like we're privy to because I made some investigatory
just say it.
I foiled their bastard asses because they were lying to us and they screwed us on a couple of deals. But you know, y'all weren't supposed to know that. Anyway, finding out, reading some of their emails and their text messages, the snake-like mentality that they have in there is no leadership. They run right over what that guy wants. But he didn't want to spend money on a mascot. He didn't want to spend money on fan-driven efforts, but he'd go triple spin on a scoreboard. Or he'd go, I don't want to, that's going to be a whole other road, that this could be a whole other conversation, and I don't want to get sidetracked. The point is, the guy has absolutely no idea how to run an athletic department when he has to actually pay attention to the budget, when he actually has to go out, earn the money, raise the money, and then use it efficiently. He has no idea what that's like. He came from Missouri, Missouri is a nothing SEC school, but they still get the TV revenue. They still have the rich donors, et cetera, et cetera. You know, they have the money regardless of what they've been able to succeed at in sports. We don't have a tenth of what they have. And the idea that a guy like that could come in here with the way that we have to run things and accomplish anything with a shoestring budget compared to what Missouri, we were always under, like, this was a fever dream. This was like, we weren't even being honest with ourselves. So all this time that we're racking up all this debt and we're increasing this budget, and they're trying to tell us, oh, we're raising money, we're increasing our profile. No, you were taking auxiliary funds, 10, 12, 14, 17 million dollars from the university. And while it happens at other places, it doesn't happen like this. Other places don't subsidize their athletic program by 45%. That doesn't happen. Okay, so we're racking up debt, we're not winning, and now we have a budget crisis, largely due to athletics, and the media portrays Brian as if he's taken a pay cut to help out during this budget crunch. Get out of here. If you believe that, you're a complete idiot. I'm sorry. They told him his ass was going to take a pay cut, just like they told the guy on the academic side who's supposed to be raising money that he's taking a freaking $80,000 pay cut. And there's a bunch of other ones. The reason why people are getting fired left and right. How many people have been fired to this date since we lost TJ? What is it, 112, 109?
And we probably got 200 more to go, bud.
Oh, it'll be 400 before it's over with. And it never should have bloated to what it is now. But the idea that the media is going to report this as if Maggard's doing us a solid, it's charity that he's going to give us, oh, yes, I'll give you $70,000 back in annual income. Get out of here. You shouldn't be making that. And by the way, who appointed him the VP of Intercollegiate Athletics? He did. T-Joe allowed him to give himself a raise because he got a new title that he appointed himself as. I told y'all 3 years ago, I was red-pilled on the dude 3 years ago. Now that we're not winning, everybody wants to start to listen. The guy he's a rudderless ship. He is solely responsible for the Barnes & Noble horseshit contract.
Oh, we're going to get into that in a second.
He is solely responsible for Sodexo continuing to be here and doing all of our damn concessions. You can go down the list. His Learfield contract is a complete and utter failure, and nobody wants to do that. We should get something trending on social media. Audit Learfield. We should see the contract, and we should see what exactly they're bringing to this university. Because I can tell you from the things that I've been told by people that would know, it's a joke. And they're in direct conflict when what we're trying to do from a fundraising standpoint. We can't get blue collar, middle class small businesses involved in our program because Learfield's sucking up all the goddamn oxygen out of the fundraising game, and only about 3 people are benefiting from it. Okay, there's so many back asswards things going on at this university, and to see that this guy's going to take a $70,000 pay cut as if it's goodwill. Just absolutely, it's not even close to reality. And then they have a nice smiling picture of him, when they do the social posts. It's like, yeah, he's giving us charity. Dude, get out of here. First of all, should never be making $500,000 a year. Second of all, where's the damn oversight? What have you done? What have you done this year, being that you're the second most well-compensated freaking university employee here? All you've done is drive us $25 million in a hole. I'm sorry. I don't. If the question is he's going to be here by this time next year, absolutely not. Absolutely no way that Brian Maggard is still the acting athletic director at the University of Louisiana at this time next year. Will not happen, and it's a good thing. Have we moved the football forward since he's been here? Sure. Have we accomplished some things since he's been here? Sure. Has he put in place some good things that has helped us to move the brand forward? Yeah, sure. It's time. It's time. Just like any good football coach, any good 7, 8, 9 years, it's time. And we're going to be better for it. And we need to find somebody that can operate efficiently under a budget that more aptly reflects what we can bring into the program without going in freaking credit card debt like it's 1992.
My question here, and I'll get to you, Jerry, after this, because I have to give my thoughts. My question here is, where is the return on investment? Because we outsourced everything, and you talked about it. Barnes & Noble, disaster. Learfield is a freaking disaster. Let me ask you this question, Josh. One of the great things we found out from your investigation is that we have people actively in the athletic department. Oh, not even by your investigation. We hear from our sponsors that the guy who's leading Learfield in Lafayette is telling our sponsors, don't do business with them. They're trash. They're horrible. Don't do it.
I think the word was poodoo.
Poodoo. Well, that's another thing. That was an official UL representative who said poodoos. I actually have that still on my X. But you got the guy who's supposed to be selling. Who's supposed
fired,
to be
by the way.
Right, who's fired. But the guy who's in charge of Learfield shitting on us. 5 guys talking about UL athletics.
No,
What,
5
like
graduates. 5 graduates of the university who give a shit about this university. Continue.
But regardless, why are we your biggest concern? Because we don't, well, we know why it is. Because we don't, sugarcoat everything. Because we don't follow the rules you want us to follow because we're a fan podcast. Think about this, guys. The university wrote a whole policy just to exclude us. A whole policy at the University of Louisiana, who wants to be big time. We're big time program. Wrote a goddamn policy to exclude us specifically. How
and
ridiculous
yet they have another
is
podcast,
this?
And they don't even follow it. They don't even follow it. They don't even follow it
because they have another podcast that started 3 days ago that doesn't even cover UL 100% of the time on the sideline. And by the way, use their video for the suspensions that we got because Keith Gill saw them on X.
To get our players in trouble.
With our director of media right in the video as they're filming it. How ridiculous is this situation, guys? This is where we are as an athletic department. They're worried about 5 guys talking shit about the university when they need to be called out, when they need to look in the mirror and say, holy shit, maybe they're right about some of this stuff.
Audit
Sorry,
Learfield.
Jerry.
Audit Learfield. Hashtag audit Learfield. That's it. If y'all want to know, like, one of the massive cancers that we have attached to this university, audit Learfield. Audit Learfield. FOIA the financials. Ask questions. FOIA the contracts. I'm telling you, if you want to know why we're so in debt, you want to know why we're not going anywhere, you want to know why we're less than stuck in neutral, audit these people. FOIA them. Call them up. Ask them questions. You'll get the answers. It's going to take you a while, and they'll hate you and blackball you like they did me, but you will know. And this is why I can come on the stream and smile like I do, because it's 5. We could be 5 ditch diggers. We are more valuable from a media asset standpoint, a fan podcast that just gets on here and reps the brand. At this point, with all of the media products that these people have laid out and put money into and hired people to do and all this shit, at this point, the fan podcast is worth more money and is more valuable as a media asset than everything that the university has sanctioned. Stop and think about that for a moment and audit Learfield.
There are some things I wanted to point out. You were talking about Sodexo and the mascot and Barnes & Noble. Actually, that's not under the control of the athletic department. They don't make the decision on that. The university does. But to that point, it just goes to show you how much of a mess it is, right? The communication, the marketing, the push, whether it's the mascot, the Barnes & Noble deal. It's to the point where athletics actually somewhat doesn't have jurisdiction over some of those decisions, which makes it even worse because now that's on the university. And the reason why I bring that up is because you go full circle into the situation of the basis of the situation of why we're in the problem we're in now, because you've got certain factions that are making decisions on behalf of another entity that has no jurisdiction or no say in it, and it's put you in this financial situation. And instead of them giving athletics that right to do it, now I don't know if they make the right decision or not, it's put us in this predicament. And what it comes down to at the end of the day, it's all about control. It's all about control. Like you want to talk about Sodexo? When somebody, I think Josh, you brought up Sodexo. From what I heard, the Sodexo contract. Now, you might fact check me on this, but I don't think athletics gets the income from that. I think they get a small portion. I think the university actually keeps it, but that also goes in part with the auxiliaries. You can flip it. Auxiliaries, where there's housing, parking, and transit, a lot of that stuff pays for athletics. So when you look at the books and you look at the finances on why it's such a mess that it's in, all you got to do is some simple allocation. And a lot of this already goes away, but they got so many people's hands caught in the cookie jar that after years and years of doing it and nobody looking and overlooking this situation, we're in the predicament that we're in now. And so my solution is Just sit down, look at the numbers, and figure out a way that makes it easy so we're not digging into this debt that we're in. We're not going into $25 million and $30 million and people taking pay cuts, people getting fired. The stuff, it's really not that hard. I don't understand why why people overcomplicate.
Because they've never had to do this and they don't know how to do it. They've gotten away with this for years. Why would you think they know how to overcomplicate it? It's complicated them trying to figure out how to make up the deficit. They don't know how to do it. But you know what they're focused on instead? They're focused on, and we have written proof of this, emailing other athletic departments to tell them rage and review, do not let them interview your coach. We don't want you, don't interview their coach, they're bad news. They have actually, guys, let's get this out all in the public tonight because I'm pissed off because we should not, as an athletic department, be where we are. So it's all coming out. When you have the athletic department of the university that you give money to, that's telling me, oh, you don't come to the games, you buy tickets. So I did buy tickets. Those people are emailing other athletic departments to tell them not to let us interview their coaches. They're talking, the Learfield people are talking to our sponsors, telling them, well, that's a bad look on you. You shouldn't do business with them. They're worried about that instead of figuring out how to make up that deficit that they have. That's why I'm pissed off. Their priorities are on 5 guys who love this university, who will come on here and defend the players and the coaches to some extent and try to just better the university. And instead, we're a problem so much that instead of worrying about this deficit that they're running, they're worried about emailing other athletic departments to tell them, don't talk to them. They're bad news. That is the like everything that's wrong about how things are being run right now in a nutshell. Why are they worried about us? That is my question. And we know why. Because we expose them and because we force them to try to be better. They want status quo, baby. As long as status quo is just doing this and what they're doing and getting by and getting paid, they're good. But as soon as we call them out, we're not their friends anymore.
Bingo, Nick. Hey, what other media outlet, whether it be this podcast or anything in Lafayette, points out the shortcomings of this university, especially the athletic department?
Oh, I'll go even further. We have a partner. We have a partnership with a news organization in Lafayette. Guess what? He's being blackballed because he provides us with coverage, because he gives us video clips. Now he's being blackballed by the administration.
But bottom line is that was the point, is that we're the only organization that does a little deep dive, deep digging, and we're not afraid to bring up the nasty stuff that this university does that would otherwise be a blind eye to the casual fan or just the average Lafayette citizen. Nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes. They could take what we say and, say, man, are they really doing that? And then you dive a little deeper and you find out, yeah, they are doing that. But bottom line is this: whether the university wants to let us in or not, we're going to keep functioning at a pretty high rate. We got friends in high places, whether they believe that or not. And I know that Jerry, you like to laugh about this. All the story, it's the haves and the have-nots. All the haves that are in that athletic department that spill stories to other people that are not really in that bubble. Well, guess what? Some of those people are in our bubble. So all of the stories and all the jokes you think you're telling to your friends, quote unquote, in those high places, those friends in high places that probably live in Lafayette or citizens of Lafayette that run businesses in Lafayette, who you think they run and tell? Us, you big dummies. You should probably shut your mouth and focus on fixing the problems that you created, and not 5 people who graduated from this university, who are diehards of this university, who want nothing but the best for this university. Going back to what Josh said, yes, it's time. We need a breath of fresh air. We need to get these elitist people out of here, and we just need to start from grassroots, whether it's for the better or worse. We need to bring somebody in that knows how to manage a budget, and we need to start doing more with less.
Let me book in with some positivity, because I hear a lot of negativity, so I'm going to try to help y'all out. Look, 3 of the top 4 most powerful positions at the university are out. President was forced out, CFO was fired, and there are more, but 3 of the top 4 out. So that's good. We got new direction. Ramesh is in place. Ramesh is going to kill it. I hope he stays long term. So we'll see how that works out. You got 400 more, 400 in total. So you got, 300-ish layoffs, firings, whatever, to go. And we're gonna trim some fat as every business does at some point. So it's just fat trimming time. So we're gonna get lean, which is great. Athletics is so broke that if you were almost a part of it in the last 3 years, you can't stay. Pack your shit. You got a mute and a prick trying to raise money for athletics. It ain't gonna happen. They're on their way out, whether they like it or not, whether they know it or not. They're on the way out. The people have spoken. The guy doesn't speak. He doesn't listen. He doesn't return calls or emails. He's out. And he has way too much influence over things he shouldn't. Why is the RCAF director meddling in media? Why is communications and RCAF, what does that have to do with each other? The guy that's running the fundraising arm should not be making decisions on who talks to the coach or who the coach is talking to or what media appearances are made. It's absurd. So he's out. He can't speak. He's out. And then his little wingman, who's a jerk, he's out. Nobody likes him. He can't raise the thing. And then you have all their little assistants that are hanging on by a thread. And I guess if they want to take a pay cut and stick around, that's great. But we need to staff those fundraising positions with locals that have been in the, like, for example, the oil business, oil salesman, the oil business has produced some of the most tough, most leather-skinned personalities that you will ever come across. If you can make it in the oil business and sales, you can raise money anywhere. And I can attest to that because I've been involved with that. And I know there's a couple of people trying to get involved. We need to get an army of somewhat affiliated, maybe not employees, but like, 1099 type guys. We need to get an army of those that'll go out and eat what they kill. So if you raise $100,000, we'll give you a percentage of that and build a portfolio that way. That's how Gerald did it. That's how Gerald Hebert did that for years. And when they came in, when the Midwest Mafia came in, they basically kicked Gerald to the side and said, "Oh, we're not going to do it like that anymore. We're going to go hire We're going to hire Learfield to go after Buffalo Wild Wings and Coke, but they're going to pay us in gift certificates." Yeah, brilliant guy. So that's what they're doing. We need to get rid of that. That's a stupid model. It's a failing model. Acadiana has not been Americanized. We do not spend and we do not consume the way that the Midwest does, that the East Coast does. We're different. And they still can't figure this out. We're over a decade. They still can't figure this out. So we need to fill those positions with normal, regular Cajun people that know how to talk to blue collar businesses and folks that are going to fill the stands. That's who we need to go back after. I don't care if it's going to be, you got to work a little bit more to be quantitative over qualitative. I mean, that's just how we do business here. And that's how we're going to continue to do business. And that's how I think, even my generation, I'm not that old, but even I still do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do business with you on a personal level more than I'm just going to give to you because it's Giving Tuesday. What the hell is Giving Tuesday? I don't care. Nobody cares. Okay? You got to go have a conversation. You got to have a cup of coffee. That's how we've always done business here. So anyway, we got to staff RCAF with that. And then after that, dude, just get back to catering to the regular human being. Audit Learfield. I'm going to say it every time from now on. Audit Learfield. We need to audit Learfield. We need to figure out all the money that they can't raise, and we need to give it to, like I said, that army of 1099s to go out and do it themselves. Get back into the community. Get our normal people back in the stands. Do what HUD did. The freaking HUD model worked. I don't know why they think that they're so much smarter than the HUD model. Nothing has ever been more successful than the HUD model. Hell, bring HUD back on as a consultant. He'd probably do it on a part-time basis. That's what I would do. When Nico gets back here, this first thing I'm going to tell him, hey, call up HUD. That's what we got to do. Anyway, I'm going on a rant. But yeah, a lot of people are getting fired. A lot of people are going to have to backfill some of those positions because of incompetence and stupidity and laziness. So when we do that, we need to make the right hires. We don't need to make long-term commitments, and we need locals. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right. We got it all out. Sometimes you need the therapy. This is our therapy.
You have to be able to speak English to raise money.
But
you have to be able to speak and open your mouth with words that come out in order to get people to give you money. And you can't have a sidekick as an asshole. Not going to work.
We just kept this in for so long. So I'm sure this will be bookmark lane. We're going to get the big bookmark here. And I'm sure this will be spread around the athletic department. Peace, guys. Anyway, Let's go on to Gourmets, brought to you by Lafayette Eat Lafayette, brought to you by Lafayette Travel. I've got myself all shells up tonight. Let's talk about bowl games, guys, and we'll go around the horn. Start with you, Jerry. The bowl game, and we're not talking CFP. We're not talking about the playoff, but bowl games that you have to see and is the worst bowl game that you absolutely do not want to see this season.
Oh, man. You might have to come back to me on that one, dude.
Jerry, it was homework.
But, dude, I know.
Lane.
I was going to say CFP. That's why.
No. Lane, what you got, Bob?
I would say matchup-wise, ours isn't great, but I mean, obviously I'm still going to watch it. But for the best one or one of the best ones, I'd have to say going with the matchup with Southern Miss in the New Orleans Bowl. Seeing them play Western Kentucky without a coach will be pretty interesting. One of the worst matchups is Cal versus Hawaii. I mean, it's a home game for Hawaii. It's in Hawaii. Nobody wants to watch that.
I mean, who wants to watch us play Delaware? Honestly, nobody.
True.
But also, who wants to watch App State take Georgia Southern on again this season? By the way, another Keith Gill screw up because he could have, if they had to play another team in the Sun Belt, don't make it a team they've already played this season. What an idiot. Go ahead, Des, Coach Deck KG, your thoughts. Worst bowl game and the best bowl game this season.
So I'll give you I don't know if it's the best. I'm going to give you the one that I'm going to actually pay attention to, and it's because I followed both programs relatively close this year. I'm a Ahmad Hardy fan. I think most of us are. I mean, dude runs the football like nobody's business. Give me Virginia and Missouri. I think that's actually going to be a very competitive ball game. I believe that's the Gator Bowl. I've seen Virginia, very well coached. Chandler Morris is a very capable quarterback. I was actually a little surprised that they dropped that game to Duke. I thought they were the clear, more talented team, but things happen in a championship game where, winner takes all. But nonetheless, Virginia and Missouri is a very eye-catching game to me. Other than our game, unfortunately, Georgia Southern and App State really doesn't do anything for me. Lane made a good one. I didn't even notice that on my little list here. Cal and Hawaii. I mean, who's watching that, honestly? Other than that, this is a very, I'm going to say this as an overall. What an underwhelming bowl schedule outside of the CFP. I mean, and I don't want to give away any other games. I guess if I had to pick one game other than the Sun Belt, the two Sun Belt teams, and one got pulled up because they didn't have enough, maybe New Mexico and Minnesota, the Rate Bowl. Who the hell's watching that? I mean, it is at a baseball field in Phoenix at Chase Field. But I mean, who's watching New Mexico and Minnesota? It's kind of the same as in that stratosphere of Hawaii and Cal. So I guess give me that one.
And by the way, this is no hate on UL or Delaware. I'm just saying, from a national perspective, nobody's saying, man, got to watch this game tonight. It's not happening because there's no story behind it.
Well, here's the good news. It's on a Wednesday night. There's literally
prime
nothing
time
else that's playing on a Wednesday night.
Correct.
You're going to have the TV to yourself. And, any bar around the world is going to have ESPN on it somewhere, somehow. And if it's a competitive and exciting game, people are going to turn their heads and say, man, pretty damn good football game right there. The bottom line is playing on a Wednesday night, it's terrible for actually going to the game, but you got TV all to yourself if you can make it into a competitive ball game.
And we are going to have the best watch party ever and get progressively more drunk as the game goes on. Josh, your thoughts? Best and worst bowl game this season?
Well, I'm going to watch our game out of obligation. But other than that, I only want to watch the G5 playoff games. As long as they win and they're in, I'm going to be watching it. I'm going to watch the ODU bowl game. Other than that, I don't care. I don't care about the slate. I think the slate's terrible. I hope JMU and Tulane find a way to win. I'll keep watching as long as they're on TV. Outside of that, I don't care. I've missed the national championship multiple years. Do not care about the Invitational. It's the SEC Invitational. I don't care. I don't support it. I'm not giving it ratings. I'm going to watch the teams that we follow, the teams that we talk about, and then obviously the Cajuns. But I hope Tulane and JMU find a way to win. It would be the biggest uppercut to the P4 that ever could have been delivered. They're already going to turn the sport upside down just because we had the audacity, the G5 had the audacity to make the playoff. They're already going to turn it upside down. So if they could just go in there and win, man, I just can't imagine the outcry. The mass media, the mass sports media is going to be all up in arms and going to cry, and I just can't wait.
It's going to be fantastic. All right, Jerry, redemption time. Best and worst bowl games.
It's just this bowl season outside of the CFP is just terrible. But I will say there are two. I'll give two matchups to make up for it. I like Arizona State and Duke. I think that'll be a fun matchup just because it's Duke was a 5-loss team, but they're pretty good, and Arizona State was kind of that outside looking in at the college football playoff. Plus, I like their coach Dillingham. He's a good coach. And actually, ever since tonight happened with the Michigan coach, I'm kind of curious about the Texas-Michigan matchup.
Oh, man.
Believe it or not.
That's wild.
The storyline just completely imploded into something interesting about that game. So I'm definitely going to watch that because they're going to be talking about it the entire broadcast and just seeing how Michigan reacts to it, right? Losing your head coach due to all that Jerry Springer drama.
But Jerry Springer drama is the P5. This is the trash. It's the Lane Kiffins of the world. It's the guy at Arkansas. It's all these. They're terrible freaking people that we're giving millions of dollars to because they happen to win a few football games.
Yeah, and then as far as worst bowl games, I don't want to trash our bowl game. I mean, it's not the best matchup, 2-6-6.
But we're not talking about the teams. No. We're just talking about the matchup.
No, and of course, I'm going to watch our game religiously, obviously. But another one that I kind of saw, and it's not a P5 matchup, but it's sort of like that. But UConn and Army just does not. I mean, UConn just lost Jim Mora. Jim Mora took the job.
I don't care about UConn to begin with.
And,
so
I got family that went to UConn, but just playing Army is
Delaware beat UConn.
There you go, and they're playing Army, so it's like, I saw that matchup. Then you got Wake Forest and Mississippi State, just two losing P4 teams. It's like,
I wonder whatever happened to UConn, man, from ESPN back in the day. He used to call in all the time. I don't know if you guys remember him. All right, boys, it's time to wrap this up. We have gotten way over, and I'm sure we'll get some flack for the comments we made, but I don't care at this point. Thanks to our sponsors, Gulf Coast Bank, Lafayette Roofing, The Yard Goat, Planet Radio 106.7. Yes, please, Branding and Marketing, Old Time Grocery, Dr. Brett Venable, and Recovery Chiromed. Stride Safety Solutions, the official sponsors of Cajun Threads. You want to check that out as well. We also have Dr. Brett Venable, and I just lost. There we go. Dr. Brett Venable with Recovery Chiromed, Eat Lafayette by Lafayette Travel, and Raging Hydration. Boys, it has been a fun night. We can't go without thanking our major sponsor, the Best Stop, family-owned Cajun Market. Of course, they've got locations in Broussard, in Carencro, Toledo Bend, Baytown, Texas, Katy, Texas, and of course, the mothership in Scott, the official Cracklins of Rage and Review. And this is a shout out to my boy, Chris Dumatre. I know he's listening. His dad's playing the guitar on this. Shout out Bobby Dumatre and Jambalaya Cajun Band, taking us out with some Christmas music tonight. But boys, it has been a lot of fun. For Jerry, for Josh, for KG, and for Lane, I'm Nicholas. Everyone, have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you back on Bowl Game Day. And until then, as always, go Cajuns.
Jingle bell, jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Les cloches, les dons, dans le bon temps.